It's only a model. Shh.
We're knights of the round boy table, not round the square or triangle. We come to hang at the gang on Fridays as we're able. We play well here in Camelot, we are chums and fun, but Camelot. We're knights of the round boy table, our host is formidable. He runs his train, walks insane, but sure he's quite unstable. He's hobby mad in Camelot, but seems never to have done a lot. Able, quite incomprehensible. To wrench in hand, we have no plan but to sit and hear Dodge babble. It's a lazy time in Camelot.
I have to shake my bum a lot.
This channel is a not-so-proud member of YouTube's all-encompassing special society of heavily overwhelmed layout enthusiasts. Check any railway show, check any railway club, check any layout, check your own house. You'll find one of us somewhere. Warning, the content of this stream is not suitable for children under the age of 16. The topic, language, themes, attitude, and personality of the presenter is not appropriate for anyone, much less children under the age of 16. Topics discussed will not center on trains and will focus on anything except politics. It just happens trains are running. Any similarity between characters, situations, trains, and intelligent thoughts is strictly a coincidence. Any rebroadcast or transmission of the stream without the expressed written consent of Major League Baseball is strictly prohibited. Viewer discretion is advised. Remember the 3 rules for model train layouts and pretty much anything. It's your layout, do what you want as you want. Do not tell someone else what to do unless they ask you directly what they should do. Do not call out, mock, criticize, or insult another channel on your channel or anyone else's channel. Thank you for your cooperation.
And see it, you'll love it, and it's all done in the best possible way.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. Welcome, Knights of the Rhomboid Table. I hope you're well on that side of the camera from me. Seem to have people coming in and slowly building up. Let's go straight to the greetings of people that I'm seeing on the list. We got hello Sir Carl from Bangor Junction, Sir Colin of Wykes. We got Sir Andy the Hot Dog Pilot, Sir John of Benicki, Sir Leslie of Gilpin Railway, Sir Mick the Barkeep is here. Sir Dino from Model Railway Shed is here. Sir Tim the CEO, Tim of Dowd is here. Sir Tom of Couples is here. Sir Tom Houston is here. Sir Andrew from March West Junction just popped in. Sir Chris from the Valleys is here. Welcome in, Sir Chris. Great to have you here. And we've got Lady K Guns, which is Eric, and I've been misspelling his name lately. I spelled it CH originally, and then all of a sudden I dropped the H. I know too many Erics, and there's like 6 different spellings, believe it or not. I've got a friend who spells it E-R-Y-C-K. I shouldn't say friend. It was a former student, spelled it E-R-Y-C-K. Did I miss anybody? I saw Sir Ifo Van Zon was here earlier. So I will catch up with the rest as they come in. Hello to all of you that are watching in the background and just listening in or watching on makeup. Speaking of which, I haven't talked to Mark from Model Railway Fantasia in a while. I probably should drop him a line and see how he's doing. Going on. Yeah, it's actually been a quiet week. I did get a small Lipa delivery. Basically, not that it affects too many people, but Lipa has updated their manual for running the Central Station 3, so the new manual came out, so I bought that. You don't have to buy it, but it does give you updates and new ideas. Not that I use even the old ideas, but and I bought a this is a kind of a dual motor replacement. This has two different motors in it. It's a 5-pole with 7 or 8 sprongs on the cogs, depending on which type of motor is in. This is going to go into a couple of the ones I got from Herc because I want to put a nicer decoder in them. So I got the a new motor because you have to replace the motor that's in them to put in the higher end decoder. Anyhow, quiet week. Obviously, the problem is when I do Artie's show on Saturdays, I don't know what I've talked about in which show. Last week at this time, I did get the new train. I unboxed the new locomotive and some cars. I unboxed it. I'll be running it today, so we'll get a chance to check it out in person. Saturday morning was a hard morning because I woke up, did my early morning routines, and when I finally picked up my phone to check messages, I had a message that a longtime friend of the channel, Paul Bottrell, had died. His sister, who I don't know his sister, she just went into his contacts and just sent a message out to everybody. Now, Paul had posted on the Monday previous that he had gone into an emergency hospital situation and had told me it wasn't good. He told me at Getz it was not going, that he was losing, is the way he put it. Hey, Sir Clive, how are you? Andy T. You'll be listening in the background. Dinner. Okay, no problem. I appreciate that. I appreciate anybody giving us time. Yeah, these are, I have to replace the lights on my Dumb and Horse display, and these are the exact lights. I mean, it's this exact style on the, on the actual Dumb and Horse thing. So I needed 2 more. So now I can finally, if I ever get off my butt, go over there and do it. Hey, Sir Lee, how are you? By the way, congratulations on breaking 1,000 subs, finally. You were so close. And now you finally broke it. So congratulations on breaking 1,000. So yeah, those are lights for the Dumb and Horse station again, because I got to take them out, and only 4 are still working after I had to redo some things there. I messed them up, maybe more than 4, but I just bought all new ones and been slowly collecting them, adding a couple to every YouTuber. So anyhow, and then Monday was the only really busy day. I had a bunch of errands I had to run in the morning, and then I had a doctor's appointment because I have a week from today, I'll be home. I should be here on the live stream, but I am having some surgery on Thursday. At the risk of giving too much information, it's kind of like a colonoscopy, but more involved. So it's done as an outpatient. So I go in early on Thursday. They're going to do all sorts of horrible things to me. And makes me a John because I'm paying them to abuse me. But this is the third or fourth time I've had to go in and have this procedure done. And this is unfortunately the worst. I've been kind of cryptic with people talking about my health, but yeah, I'll be walking. Actually, no, I won't be walking like a cowboy. I just may not be sitting very comfortably. But I grow tumors, blood-filled tumors. And at one time they the first doctor said they were, he thought they were what they call internal hemorrhoids. But when they sent him out for biopsy, this is back in 2014, 2012, 2014, they said, no, those are different. Those are tumors. And they're benign, and they've been benign, but according to the doctor, there's a 1 in 3 chance that they develop into cancer. So again, it's not, 1 in 3 is not great odds, but I'm a little on the cancer scare because everybody I know is dropping dead of cancer. So yeah, I have to keep on top of it. So I mean, I have to go in yearly. For various reasons, I have to go in and get yearly checkups on my kidney and my prostate. All the... As a man, it's sort of like, women have so much more they got to be scared of and worried about. And we go through Joyce's fears every time she has her yearly exam. But I now have to have yearly exams. But I had back in November through Christmas, I had what I call episodes, and some were very, very painful and not fun to go through. And so they're going to go in and cut out what is either there, and they're also going to look for any scar tissue they want to remove, and then they have to biopsy all of it. Hey, Sir Anthony from Middleport Junction. But there you have that, sir. Hi, how are you? So, yeah, that's what's been going on. So, it's just been a little nerve-wracking because the episodes got really, really bad. I've been to the doctor a couple of times, and they finally said, you better get your surgery, and we're gonna have to go in and see why they've been so bad the last couple of months. But so you just sit around and wait. It's not a big deal. They'll knock me out. I'll be completely knocked out, and then they'll send me home in the evening. And poor Joyce has the toughest part. She has to sit and wait. She has to sit and wait. She's already taken the day off of work. So anyhow, that's enough about, yeah, hey, John from Mystic Railroad. Unless you, and there are people in this room who have had that big C word. They've had it. And what I'm going through isn't as bad as what a majority of people go through because A, it's not cancer yet, and B, it's not fun to go through it because I've had colonoscopies, and this is different, and it's definitely a little harder to rebound from. But it's still mild. It's very mild in terms of what other people go through. And well, hello, Sir Ian. Hello. Yeah, John, the thing is, I can't keep it. It either develops or it doesn't develop. The key is if they keep checking, and if it does eventually come up, they will catch it early enough that certain things maybe can be done ahead of time. But, I look at what my friend Greg from Midsummer Rail is going through, what Paul went through before he passed. and you know, my friends. It's you know, it's hard for me to you know, those put things in perspective more than my own experience. Seeing what my friends went through, seeing what you know, even going to Gets put things in perspective, because that's, you know, as I talked about in that video, I realized that's what I'd been missing for the last 5 years is, oh yeah, getting together with a bunch of guys and women and having laughs and not worrying about somebody being offended or blah, 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 but because we talk about things that we're safe with anyhow. Anyhow, enough of all that banter and blather. Let's get on to the trains today and see what we're running. So here in lane 1, you can see the new guy. That is a Class 249 dual mode diesel electric. I believe it's hydraulic electric, or diesel hydraulic, I should say. Get the brain straight. And I resisted temptation for years. Every time I saw these gorgeous black trains with the red trim with the red Märklin on, I thought they looked cool, but I just would not break down and buy one. This one finally pushed me over the cliff. I pre-ordered it last year. It came in last Friday. You guys saw me open it, and I posted a video on it. So, yeah, it's it's definitely I'm quite pleased with that. And then you can see I've got some Märklin container wagons, and then the transport container wagons, and then I threw some red DB cargo stuff on it to make it. It's a small consist, I know, but what the heck? I'm not a freight guy anyhow. And then I wanted to run a steamer, and I got talked into the Flying Scotsman. So I hope you all enjoy the Flying Scotsman with those 4 little coaches. I still want to get a good rake of coaches to go with it. I just got to find a couple more of those Limas that go with it. In lane 3, we have the Metronom, which is a private regional traffic company that they're based in the town of Uelzen, but basically they handle in and out regional traffic in Hamburg along with Deutsche Bahn. They take some of the routes and times that Deutsche Bahn eliminated. So that's Metronom. Very nice trains, and they're very uptight about keeping them clean. They don't play around with people putting feet up on seats and stuff like that. Okay, then we've got the Alex pulled by a Class 223. A Piko Class 223 and some Piko. So this is an all Piko train. And then a Märklin Flixtrain. Oops. I don't want them going that fast. Flix, the last time I was in Germany, Flix was not running in Delmenhorst, but apparently they are now moving into the northwest part of Germany. Or that north central part of Germany. And lastly, in the back, a Lint class 648, known as a Lint 41. So it's technically in terms of German rail, it's called a BR 648. But its design is a Lint Class 41. Hey, Sir Daz, how are you? And did anybody else come in while I was babbling and walking in? Nice to see you, Daz. And welcome in, Model Railway Noob. Great to have you all here. So let's just follow this guy around. The camera adjusted again right after I moved it back in play. Oh, well. parts from Scotsman, everything matches. Yeah, I need to find the right kind of cars in HO that the Scotsman would pull. And it's just finding HO versions of them. But that is just, I'm biased, I know, but that is just a stunning Loco. I can't tell you how much I love this Loco. I just wish these cameras could focus a little better on the motion. Oh, and on the floor. Yep, I'm sorry. Hey, Rick Train. Sir Rick, how are you? Sorry, Tim, I'll get on the floor. I'm running shorties on the floor today. So on the floor, we are running. Oh, I need to make an adjustment here. Sorry about that. I thought I had that adjusted, but I didn't. But there you go. I want to get some lame scenic stuff and just put along that one wall to make it something visually stimulating over there. You know, just put it. That's actually that wall there. That's actually the back of a credenza that part of the layout is over. So there's a. That's a credenza in there. I still can't get... There we go. This is the back of a credenza right there. Try to find Märklin 41551. Yeah, but that's not true UK coaches. I really want the Flying Scotsman to pull UK coaches. I want to see if it's the one I'm thinking of. Oh, well, yeah, the Hogwarts Express, right? Okay. Which are technically UK coaches. But I think technically Flying Scotsman would not have pulled maroon coaches, would it? I need my UK people. No, I mean, you see them anywhere. It's just a fancy word for cabinet. You know, when I was a kid, it was a cabinet. Now, if it's a long cabinet that you store things in, it's a credenza. You know, we give them fancier words to justify the price, but I bought those for $10 each because we have the Habitats for Humanity store. Would get donations. Now, back in the day, you could walk in and buy really nice pieces of furniture for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. But at least the local manager, the one in Toledo, the one in the South End here, he started getting nice stuff and he started charging nice prices, if you know what I mean. It pulled blue and gray coaches in the 60s. Well, when I'm in the UK, if I haven't found something by 2026 and I'm in the UK, I want to find, well, we found model shops. Joyce and I did find model shops. We went to a couple in York, and we went to one in, well, there wasn't one in Bangor. We went to one in Cardiff, but we didn't go to the big one. We didn't go to Lords and Butler. We went to one in Edinburgh. And then we didn't go to any in London. London just felt too big to try to find a little hobby store. Hey, Sir Christopher, how are you? Fashionably, that's my style, sir. Major Lennox is to answer. Major Lennox answered with his life, sir, as should you have, sir. Yeah, the thing is, I didn't know Lord and Butler was in Cardiff, and then I didn't know Matt Slade was in Cardiff, and when he did a video about 3 months after we were in Cardiff, and I comment, wow, I didn't know you were in Cardiff, and that Lord and Butler's was in Cardiff, because I would have gone to Lord and Butler. He says, if I known you were going to be in Cardiff, I would have had you come over, and I'm like, you know me? I mean, we've chatted. Hey, Sir David of Atkins, welcome in. You have to nip on the flirt. I nipped on a flirt once, and then she smacked my face. Oh my God, I cannot watch that stupid scene enough from Sharp. The first actor to play Wellington, that scene where he dresses down Simerson is one of the all-time great scenes in any movie ever. And so it's a running joke with Christopher and myself that we just constantly do it, along with a couple of other lines. But that's one. Like when Joyce and I started watching, we watched all of Allo Allo. I had seen episodes of it back in the 80s and 90s and liked it, but it was something you just caught every now and then when our cable company was doing BBC America on Trial or something, and you would catch it. But, or I would catch people had put pirated copies on the internet, and I'd watch them and go, God, I'd really like to watch the series. And so it finally came on one of the networks, and we were able to watch. They had series 1, 3, 4, 5. So Christopher gave us series 2, and then 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8, 9. So we were able to watch it all the way through. And that's become a running joke in our house. Somebody will come in, Joyce will come in, or I'll come in, and the other one will say, who's there? Is that so-and-so? And one of us will walk in, and we both wear glasses, so we'll lift up our glasses and look around and go, it is I, Leclerc. But, no, you know, Joyce gets a little impatient if I keep talking about how much she loved Cardiff. She'll say, I didn't fall in love with this. You really liked Cardiff. She really enjoyed Cardiff. But it was the combination. She loved where we stayed, the easy access, being on the sea. I think if we went back to Cardiff, we're definitely taking the train out and catching, you know, a much bigger view, you know, a bigger view of the water, or a view of the bigger water rather than just the little bit of Cardiff Bay. Because we did do that. We went out and saw both the little bit and then took that little thin walk over the channel and looked out to the bigger water. But I think she wants to ride all the way to that little southwest corner of Wales or even England and just stand at that point and just see the Atlantic Ocean all the way out there, especially after Australia. Hello, Eric with an H. Sir Eric with an H from Van den Eisenbahn. Willkommen, willkommen. Naja, was wollen Sie mir sagen? Man kann nichts alles tun. But, well, nothing wrong with that, David. When I buy locomotives, I prefer to buy new, but I clearly now have a lot of used locomotives as well. And I've had, for the most part, very good luck buying used. And I've had almost excellent luck buying new. I've had a couple of Picos that were new that went bad very quickly. The low-end Picos, the Piko hobby range. So I will never buy a Piko hobby range locomotive again, and I'm sure they're all good. I'm like 2 out of 3 bad luck. Only one of your locomotives is new. And that's understandable. That's fine. A, if you know how to fix them, that's a great skill. B, it's cheaper that way. And you can accrue more. I am past wanting to learn how to fix everything. Obviously, converting things to digital, I've had to learn, but I'm kind of an old dog and I don't enjoy learning new tricks. And as well, no, tricks are for kids. Or tricks are for $100 an hour, but that's a totally different thing, and kids are present. Night Ferry CIWL set for the Scotsman, but would the Scotsman have pulled it? And again, I know I don't have to be prototypical, and I am so not a rivet counter, but I do like when I run a train, a key train, like my Metronom, it's got to be Metronom cars. My Alex locomotive's got to be Alex cars. So with the Flying Scotsman, I would like to just to honor all my UK friends. They were all new to you. Yep. Scotsman wouldn't have pulled a Night Ferry, but a Class 74 would. Well, that's... because that's the other thing. Märklin is releasing an 01, a 10, a 44, which is a classic German freight loco, and the 03, and I really want an 01 because I have an 01, but it's a Christmas 01, and I can get the exact same thing as my Christmas 01, but without the Christmas stuff on it. Märklin has them in stock. The new 01 is $100 or so more, and that won't be out until Christmas time, and the 03 is due out in the next couple of months. And I'm debating on getting the 03, but I'm also debating getting that cheaper version of the 01, because the 03 is a basic model. They say it's an introductory level model, so it's very inexpensive, and it still has an MFX decoder with all kinds of light and sound functions, so I would be happy with the 03, but and 03 would be different. I just don't like the idea that's going to be a scaled back model and not have the detail. The BR50 can also pull the CIWL. Yeah, but I've got plenty of stock for the BR50 to pull. If I get a CIWL, I just want to replace... I want to get that Edelweiss set that Märklin released, but that's A, sold out, and B, really expensive on the secondary market. John Benicki, off to work, I think. All right, take care. Always appreciate having you stop in before you got to go. Put a train of brown and cream Pullmans. Well, that's kind of what I'm hoping to find. Again, the key is finding them in HO scale. And these LMS coaches, which I've been told was it the Mallard pulled them or the Flying Scotsman pulled them? Because I got LMS both in 00 and HO. We'll call him the Sloop John B. Take care, John B. No, I won't sing the Beach Boys. Speaking of singing, we should have a new parody song coming out this week. I'm not a big Steam guy, but Joyce will tell you that's a lie now. I just have certain classic trains now that I'm adding, and I truly, well, hello, Sir Ray. When I look at steam trains, I'm always appreciative of the work the men who built them and women who built them put into them, because that was usually done by hand. You know, you might have machine presses putting out certain sheets or bending certain pipes, but overall it was men building and putting it together. It was humans rather than machines, and so I always have a great appreciation for the work, ingenuity that they are. But as far as running them, only in the last couple of years have I really gotten into appreciating running some steam locomotives. So I still prefer my modern era ICEs and railjets and such, but I also now am addicted to yeah, that is Flixtrain. Flixtrain is well, they're actually in several countries. I, for personal reasons, do not like Flixtrains. Although I have to take a Flix bus from Copenhagen to Rostock. And you go, how do you take a bus? Well, the bus gets on a ferry and then goes across and then takes you the rest of the way to Rostock, Germany. Flixtrains I have a problem with because they don't like to cooperate with Deutsche Bahn. Deutsche Bahn let them come in to set up and take over certain routes. But when you buy, to ride a Flixtrain, you have to buy a Flixtrain ticket. And that's not usually the case. In Germany, you buy, with all the other companies, private and the public company, Deutsche Bahn, you buy a ticket for the route. Or for the state even. And then you can ride any train, private or public. So, like if you say, I want to take a 1 o'clock train from this place to this place, it might be a Deutsche Bahn, it might be a private company. And they might even alternate, like Deutsche Bahn does it Mondays and Fridays, the private company does it Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Sometimes Deutsche Bahn does the even hour ones and the private companies do. Sometimes the private company covers the whole route. So it's, and Flixtrains won't do that. If you buy a state ticket in Germany, which is supposed to be good on all public transportation, Flixtrain won't honor it. You have to buy a Flixtrain ticket. Hey, CMD, how are you? Yeah, I'm, like I was saying just a bit ago, I love this new Märklin Loco, and I'm happy to finally get to run those Märklin box cars. I still want to get more of the Märklin freight to really make a nice Märklin freight train, but yeah, I'm quite pleased with it all. Well, hello, Maura Curran. Welcome in, and you need to be knighted. rhomboid table. All right, Mara, you are here. If you got a channel, you can advertise it. If you have somebody else's channel you'd like to advertise, if it's train or comedy or any kind of a hobby, anything but religion and politics. Gotcha, Efo. Okay. Yeah, just since it's my only UK train that I can run on my layout, I want to get UK, even if UK coaches would look a little odd on a German layout, but that's where I don't care about, you know, that's where I'm no longer a rivet counter. Not sure what it means. It's an old joke. When I started my live streams, there was a live stream I had been going to, and it was the only live stream where they made everybody, or almost everybody, not everybody, but they made everybody a moderator. In other words, your name shows up blue on the chat, and you have a little spanner or wrench next to your name. That makes you a moderator. And there were even some chats, this is back in 2019 and 2020, there were some chats where people would get upset that, why is that person a moderator and I'm not? And there were some arguments, and even some friendships ended over, why am I not a moderator in your channel? I made you a moderator on my channel. And there really was some silliness about it all. So when I started my live stream, I made everybody a moderator. And except for one case, one stream, it's never been a problem. And even the problem was somebody just being protective of the chat and maybe a little overprotective for a personal bias they had. But as far as I know, I was the first chat that made everybody a moderator. And then there were a few chats that everybody's a moderator, but I was the first. I just made everybody a moderator, so that way it was easy for you, because if you're not a moderator, you can't click on a name and go to their channel. If you're a moderator, you can. So this way everybody can click on the little three dots next to somebody's name and go to channel and see if you like their channel, and much easier to subscribe. So anyhow, when I started doing that, somebody made the joke, oh, I've been knighted. And I took it and ran with it, and I name everybody that comes to my chat a knight of the rhomboid table. And that's simply because you have the Knights of the Round Table, and then too many comedians have done jokes about Knights of the Square Table. Even the young ones back in the 80s did that. Knights of the Square Table, a hippie knight. So I thought, let's do rhomboid table. I could have done diamond, but I just like rhomboid. It was trapezoid, but rhomboid just flowed better. Well, thank you. It's hasn't really changed much in 4 years. I really need to get my butt to work and actually try to make it a finished layout. But yeah, I mean, it does what I need it to do, because I'm new into model trains. And the thing is, I'm about the trains. I'm not about the scenery per se. I love when people do great scenery. But I'm just about lots of trains moving. I don't even have my system automated. I have 6 lanes that can run trains, and I have 6 trains running. So I have switches, but that's merely to move trains from lane to lane or line to line. But there's not heritage line and main line and branch line and all that. I just have 6 loops, 3 run the whole table, and 3 just do the one side. So if I go to layout view, where is it? Long view, this one. And then the back run here is about 22 feet long. You don't even have a shrubbery. Well, I know some nights that will help you get a shrubbery. And then a second one just above it to get that nice two layout effect. And you must cut it with a herring. Hey, Steve Childer, sorry I missed your live stream today, but I was preoccupied or occupied. I'll have to go back and watch it later. It's the scenery you love. And nothing wrong with that. I mean, I know people that run 2 lines and maybe have a branch line, and they're all about the scenery. Then there are the guys that have it on the floor, and all they want to do is run the trains. And I do like scenery, and I am building, well, I shouldn't say I am building. I've built this actually over here. Let's go to that one. Village View. This is actually based on a real town, a city called Delmenhorst, which is just west of Bremen by about 9 kilometers. That is the actual Bremen train station. Okay, it's not the actual. It is my scratch-built model of the actual Bremen station. And it is 95%, and the bus station in front of it. It is 95% scale accurate. The only reason it's not 100% inside and outside, it is true 187 scale because I'm HO. But the platform on the farthest end, that's platforms 2 and 3, are double the size you see over there. I would have had to add about 4 feet to that table to do the platforms on that side. Platform 1 is proper size, but platforms 2 and 3 are much, much longer, but the vast majority of that nobody uses. They're extra long platforms, but nobody uses them. Hey, did I see Sir Andy Dobson is here? Hi, Sir Andy of Dobson. And did I see Arthur is here? Arthur, I was watching your video. I haven't finished it. Your new bit. Yeah, Mara, I am lucky. This is my basement, and I am retired, and my kids grew up and moved out. And when I got into the trains, my wife said, "Why don't you just take the basement?" And I took it. She said, "Take it." I once had a library here. My kids had a TV and entertainment center here, couch and chairs. And it went through progressions because my kids all grew up in this house. Only my oldest daughter, Lynn, who is 36, going on 37. She'll be 37 this year. She's the only one of my kids that remembers living anywhere else because we moved in here when she was 4.5. Not even 4.5, like 4 and 2 months. My daughter Liz was a year old when we moved in, a year and a half old. No, Lynn was 5 years and 2 months. My apologies, she was 5 years and 2 months when we moved in. Hallo, der Richtige, wie geht's, wie steht's? Yeah, those were great, Ray. I watched your video this morning. So it was really cool to see how that came out. And hello, Sir Dwight, if I didn't say hello earlier. This is, it's massive, but when you think of some of the guys that have those 30, like Jim at Hover Motion, his is bigger than this. It doesn't look it in the videos, but it is. The difference is I have this table that does loop-loop. His goes out and around. and then has one big developed area here, and then just has all these runs. But it's just as, there's probably longer track runs than mine. Ja, geht's gut und dir alles gut? Ja, hier ist alles gut. Ein bisschen Chirurgie am nächsten Donnerstag, aber es geht. See, that is the one thing. By not going to Germany every year like I used to, I have to keep my German going. I don't talk enough German. Joyce has been doing Duolingo German for 3 years now, and I will say it's improved her German immensely, except it doesn't... They just expect you to learn grammar that way, and you can't. You've got to kind of learn the rules. Like, why is it auf here and on here? Why is it in here and on here? In German, you could change one letter, and the entire meaning of the sentence can change. You could say, ich fahre in den Wald, D-E-N, den, ich fahre in den Wald. Or you could say, ich fahre in dem Wald. One letter, D-E-N, D-E-M. And the difference is, the first one, you are driving to the forest. The second one, you are in the forest driving. Ich fahre in den Wald. I'm driving to the forest. Ich fahre in den Wald. And you got to know your Latin grammar to understand that. Accusative case versus dative case, blah, 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 blah. And Duolingo just expects you to pick that up. And unless you're living in Germany and only speak in German, you don't pick it up. You've got to have some time where you sit down and learn the grammar rules. Find a Stammtisch. Unfortunately, the last we have 7 different German clubs in Toledo, and they all join together. They're all under one umbrella called the German American, because we actually have the largest German American festival in the United States, believe it or not. Toledo does. The GAFS, the German American Festival Society's German festival here in Toledo. It is huge. The problem is the folks that truly spoke German, their numbers are dwindling, shall we say. And unfortunately, there's also some other things involved, like the group I was a part of, sort of like my train club. A certain person I do not see eye to eye with is now president of the club, so I don't go anymore. But, so, fortunately, I still watch a lot of German movies, and I hang out on some German live streams. The problem is, hanging out on German live streams, it's just not, it's not like the UK. You go into the UK live streams, and you can make friends. With German, they're very eclectic, and, oh, you're an American. You know, there's a little bit of that. Izzy 5-4, a little German. How many languages do I speak? I speak 2. I speak English and I speak German fairly fluently. I would not say perfectly fluently, but I can go to Germany and never speak English, except Joyce punches me in the side if I don't speak English now and then. But I talk to everybody in there. I can have very basic conversations in French and Spanish, but I wouldn't say I speak them. I just know the basic conversational phrases, and then how to order in a restaurant, and how to call for help. Aidez-moi! Aidez-moi! Sorry. And then I can cuss in 13 or 14 languages. Because that's the first thing you learn in any language. I can cuss people out in Pushti, Urdu, Arabic, German. Not only can I cuss you out in German, I can cuss you out in various dialects of German, because I I don't even speak Hochdeutsch when I speak. I don't speak Hochdeutsch. I speak gemischtes Deutsch because I learned German from some Bavarian relatives as a kid. And then my very first German teacher in school was Austrian, so my Bavarian German was perfect to her. And then my second year teacher was straight out of Hanover, and get rid of, you do not say ish. Stop it with that ish. It is ich. Ich. Okay. But I had, my one grandmother was Prussian, born in, she was actually born in what is today Poland. And it's technically was part of Pomerania. But her family was Prussian and they lived and worked there, but they were Prussians. And she always made that distinction. We were Prussians. Well, my trip to Australia, I already knew some Australian slang and I picked some up. And then I could do all sorts of different dialects. I just, as a kid growing up, I had relatives who were born and raised in Germany, and I learned German from them. But then I lived in a neighborhood that had people from Scotland, Jamaica, places in Africa, places in South America, places in Asia, and where a lot of the kids I grew up with made fun of people with accents. I just loved them. The librarian at my elementary school lived in the neighborhood. She had a beautiful Irish brogue, and it was so, I loved it. She just had that old world, probably closer to Glaswegian than Edinburghese. Yeah, it was beautiful, and I just loved it. So one of the first things when I went to university was one of my degrees is in linguistics. The how languages form, shape, and develop. So I had to study various nomenclatures, various grammars, and so forth. Yeah, translating. I mean, you can do the same thing. My mom had some deep woods, Tennessee, and Mississippi relatives. So this is how weird it is. My mom's parents were both born in Germany. My mom was born in Wyoming and lived out west, but her dad worked for the U.S. government in the 30s and 40s in the Works Progress Administration. So he moved around because he was involved in building all the nuclear reactors. So they originally lived in Wyoming, but then they moved to Tennessee and worked with the TVA to build that nuclear reactor. And then she wound up in the Toledo area because he was working on two. He was working on the original Fermi, and then Davis-Besse, which is about 50 miles east of Toledo, if that far. And then Fermi 2, when Fermi 1 went, oops. And so they lived everywhere, but they lived in Tennessee for years. And my mom had when I was a little kid, she still had a decent Tennessee accent. She's got a brother who stayed down there. And when they came up to visit, oh my God, thanks to my mom, I could translate. But if we were at big functions, what did they say? I'll explain. Now, sure, you go Russia, and you're like, what? It's like almost, easily. I mean, there's regional dialects. New York City has like 10 different dialects. The city of London, England has 23 confirmed dialects. And probably double that. 23 confirmed dialects last I studied, so maybe they've added more. But the city of London, there was a guy, I've told this story about 5 times on this live stream. Let's change cameras. I've been on this camera for a while. Let's go to the big multicam view, or for those of you with smartphones, the mini multicam view, where you can't see anything. But anyhow, yeah, there was this professor and into linguistics, and he also influenced me into linguistics, getting the degree. Oh yeah, and that's true. Now the thing is, because Ireland and England and Wales are small countries, it's very interesting that they have so many dialects. But Germany has tons of different dialects too. When they all meet each other, they tend to use Hochdeutsch, except a lot of Bavarians won't use full Hochdeutsch. They'll use certain phrases, but they'll still use a lot of the, like, they won't start saying ich, they'll say ish. But anyhow, this professor, people would phone in, and he would have them say, he had these list of words he would have them say, and after he had them, anywhere from 10 to 100 words, he would say, "You're from here," and he would be right within 20 to 50 miles. But with London, he said there were dialects where you could name the not just the neighborhood, but a 3-range street. Or a 3-street range, I'm sorry. A 3-street range. That, like, there were dialects in London that you have to live in this housing development to have that dialect. That blew me away, and that said, God, I want to learn this crap. Kerbiff bun and kerbiff bread, thick in the arm and thick in the head. A Russian who learned, yes. When I was on the murder jury trial, one of the other jurors liked to do a Russian accent for fun, and we would have a Russian dialect off to entertain the rest of the jurors. He had a great one. I still think I beat him. But he was younger and better looking than me. A little bit shorter. That's my male ego coming in. He may have been better looking than me, but I was taller. And yeah, that was something I was trying to pick up on, the difference between Northern Welsh and Southern Welsh. But the thing is, the Southern Welsh, if they hear you speak English, they'll speak English. The Northern Welsh, if they hear you speak English, they'll speak Welsh. But they were all... I mean, Wales is a beautiful country. And the people we met and got to know on our trip to Wales were lovely. Of course, Joyce and I will say that about everywhere we've been. Our trip to the UK, you would hear like, oh, Londoners are very blah, blah, cold and distant. And yet we ran into all kinds of Londoners who were just really nice and friendly and helpful to us. Liverpool was just the best. I had such a blast in Liverpool. We lived on Bold Street when we stayed in Liverpool for a week, and it was just amazing. Oh God, I loved being in Liverpool, and not just because I'm a Beatle fan, but the street we lived on was the happening place. That pedestrian zone in that area was just absolutely eclectic mix of everybody. I don't know if I could pick a most interesting accent, though. I don't know. I have heard so many. I think the most interesting accents to me are the made-up ones. Like a Frenchman trying to mimic the Australian accent. Or like I used to always greet my students. And I would tell them, we're going to learn German. And then once I teach you some phrases in German, I'm going to teach you Southern German. And it was just a setup joke, you know. So now you want to learn how to speak Southern German? And my students would go, yeah. I'd say, okay, just do this. Guten Tag, y'all. Wie geht es Ihnen? Ich heiße Anton Dodge. Ich komme aus Toledo, Ohio. And half the kids were in on the joke and the other half were going, do they really talk like that in Southern Germany? Like, no. Southern Germany has many accents. The one German accent I struggle the most with, I can handle Bavarian, I can handle Allgäuer, I can handle every German accent. I have not had a shot at Luxembourgish, which is technically a language of its own, but it's derived from German. But Swiss German, oh my goodness, pure Swiss German, oh, I need to read it. Ah, bonsoir, mon ami Titiari. Ça bien? Yeah, but, you know, we say being killed, but we cross-fertilize, and yeah, we pick up words and slangs, and you hope things like rhyming slang from certain parts of England, because I was just trying to learn rhyming slang a couple of years ago, picking up some of it. But I love any accent or language. And I love it when it's a language I don't understand, and then all of a sudden the English starts popping in. Pizza and tacos. Well, I understood that part. It's possible. There are definitely English dialects because I don't have enough. But I have spoken to a Glaswegian. Now, I will say this. For example, 156 Andrew Shortbread, when he comes in and he goes full, I think he's Glaswegian, I can understand him in person, but through a microphone and speakers, it's hard. But Maura, I grew up with British and Irish comedy. Because Germans don't do comedy. Actually, they do, but, you know. So I learned all kinds of accents from, you know, I forget exactly what they call it, the Cornwallish accent, the Cornwall accent, the York accent, the Welsh dialects when they speak English, Scottish, Glaswegian, Edinburgh, and Highlands and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I have not been to Ireland, so yeah, you could definitely pick up. Obviously, I might even understand the words and not understand how the words are meant in that situation. Yeah, Luxembourgish is kind of a French-German fusion. I will concede that. But then Switzerland has 4 languages. It's got Italian, French, German is the largest group. German is about 50% of Swiss. But there's a small group called Romansh. And Romansh is not Latin-based. And it doesn't seem to be German-based. It might be some odd mixture of Old Celtic and German with so many other influences. Old Gothic, which is technically German. There are just so many things in it. It's impossible to trace where it is because there's like 3 different greetings in crap, my brain just froze. In it, and one kind of seems Latin based, and the other one seems German, and the third one seems a hybrid of the two. Yeah, Western can be slow, but yeah, you can get, there are places in New York City, down in the deep South, I can bring up some good old Appalachian folk and cousins and have them rattle off, and you would be like, what the hell did he say? Every country has that. The people that are just so deep that the language, even though it's, quote, English, is gone. What do you call a carryman under a wheelbarrow? A mechanic. Romanche is less spoken. Oh yeah, it's very isolated. It's in the deep valleys in central Switzerland. Romanche is just, I've been exposed to it. I had a little bit of study in it, but unless I happen to think, wait, oh yeah, how do you say hello in Romanche? I have to, the little file folders. See, my brain's not like a computer. It's like one of the old library index card files, and it just has to search. Nope. Nope. Nope, that's not it. Hi, Greg. Nice to have you, Sir Greg. Really bad today. Chat's making you spin out. Listen to me carefully. I shall say this only once. You better listen to her carefully. She's only going to say it once. I love how they did that running joke through several seasons, and then just where it might become stale, they started doing variations of it, you know, switching it up. And so, and I learned from that. Like when I do Matt Clark, I love running jokes. Anybody that watches my Matt Clark, and I don't know if there's 20 people on Earth that can say they have watched every episode of Matt Clark besides me, Joyce, and certain family members that have been tortured into watching all. If you're one of the people that's watched every episode of Matt Clark, thank you. But I love my running jokes. And then just as I'm getting tired of writing that joke, I do variations of them. So I keep them from getting too stale. I'm just done a lot. You look like you have. I'm just done a lot. I bet you have. What's that lady's name again? She's done a lot. Oh, I can tell you I certainly have. You do little variations of it to play with it. Well, we're Americans. We're mutts by nature. Even if we think, like 3 of my 4 grandparents were born in Germany and spent some time in Germany. The youngest was 3 when they came over, 4 when they came over, but they grew up speaking German in the house, even in America. I've still got my grandmother's church hymn books, and they went to German church, and I've got all some of her old school books, German school books, and German language books that they had back at the turn of the century, well, 19th to 20th century. She was born in 1893, and she emigrated to the United States in 1900. And she married my grandpa in 1912. So she was like 18 or 19 when she married. My grandpa was 2 years older. And then my mom's parents were both born. He was Rietz from Bavaria. He came over when he was... he was 7, and then she came over. She was Milbret Willems. She was Rhenish. And with a name like Willems, it hit me. She probably was close to the Dutch border. She was Milbret Willems, and Ellis Island changed her name to Mildred Wilson. They changed the family name to Wilson. From Willems, they didn't even go to Williams. They went to Wilson. So she was Mildred Wilson. Not bad at all. Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen. But see, French is actually an odd blending. It's mostly Latin, but it's got Celto-Germanic influence in it. There's a lot of root words that actually are Germanic, because the French, it's weird, because the old name for France is the Roman name Gaul, but only the people from Breton and certain areas along the coast are Celtic. The French people genetically are Germans. They're Germanic people. The country France got its name from a Germanic tribe called the Franks. And that's why it always makes me mad. People go Charlemagne, and anytime you watch a movie in Charlemagne, they have him speaking French. He didn't speak French. He spoke Old Frankish, which was German. A very close cousin of Anglo-Saxon German. And when I was playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and they had Charles the Fat in there, and they had him speaking French. He spoke German. But because he was the king of the Franks in what is today France, they gave him a French language. Same thing with if you watch the Matrix movie, they have the character called the Merovingian. The Merovingians were a royal family of the Frankish people, and they spoke German, not French, or technically Frankish. And then a couple of hundred years later, the language evolved, and French kind of took over. But they originally spoke Frankish, but over time, French evolved out of that odd mixture. Yes, Paul does a lot of great bits from Allo Allo, and he does them very well, yes. I was just pissing outside. Good morning. Good morning. I was just pissing outside. Oh, heck, here comes the French. Here comes that Englishman who thinks he can speak French. Charlemagne was a civilized blip in a dark period. See, I'll fight that with you, Chris. Even historians are now saying, you know what, it wasn't the Dark Ages. We call it the Dark Ages because, the Roman Empire. Well, the fact is the Roman Empire fell because it was so corrupt and messed up, and people were leaving the Roman Empire and moving to the Germanic tribal areas because they were calmer and stabler and technically more civilized. But yeah, you had all those... when the Roman power vacuum disappeared, you had everybody fighting. And when there's war, there's not a lot of artistic progress. There's technological progress, but not artistic progress. Oh, there you go, EFO. Yeah, that would be fun. And then to have all that and then trying to speak English. Yep. I don't know. The Carolingians are the reason you have Europe the way it is, for good or for bad. They were the founding dynasties of France and Germany, the Holy Roman Empire, which was neither holy nor Roman, nor an empire. We always taught German history in level 4. Whenever we would introduce the Holy Roman Empire, we'd have a chapter on Charlemagne and talk about Charlemagne really did not found the Holy Roman Empire. It wasn't until Otto the Great, Otto the First, and the only German king to be called the Great. But Otto is a very important person in European history, and nobody talks about him. Well, the Dark Ages were always that time period between the Renaissance, you know, the onset of the Renaissance and the end of the Roman Empire. But now historians are like, okay, maybe Dark Ages was not an appropriate term. There's actually a lot of advances. But yeah, not a lot was recorded. But even when we go back to the Romans, one of the worst things you have to understand, or hardest things you have to understand about Latin and the Romans, is they lied through their teeth. They were Romans trying to make Romans look good. When you read Tacitus or Cassius Dio and you read their histories, they're not histories. They're propagandas that have very specific agendas, because as we know, history is usually written by the winners. And so like when we talk about the Battle of Teutoburger Wald, where the 3 Roman legions, Tacitus was basing most of his work on Cassius Dio, and Cassius Dio was an apologist for Augustus Caesar, and so it was all Varus's fault. It was all Varus's fault. And Romans couldn't handle the fact that barbarians kicked their asses. They couldn't handle that, even after the wars against Hannibal. And so, well, Varus was too stupid. He should have known there was a trap. Varus was not an idiot. He was not the greatest Roman general, and he wasn't Caesar's first choice to lead that mission. Unfortunately, the other 2 choices got killed, and therefore couldn't lead the mission. But he was a very solid, competent general and administrator, and had served for many years out in Syria. So he was unfamiliar with the territory. So he relied on the top-ranked officer in the Roman army that knew the German tribes. It just so happened that that top-ranked officer was the guy leading the rebellion and the trap. He just happened to, instead of giving, you know, the Romans won't give credit to the Germans for coming up with a sneaky plan. It had to be, this man was so bad. But really, it was Hermann or Arminius who set up the perfect trap. Indeed, Efo. It is. Hey, hi, Monsville. How are you? Thought she was Indo or Armenian. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, because in that part of the world, at least when you originate that, from Armenia all the way to Persia, you've got, for example, when people think Persians, they think Arab. And Persians aren't Arabs. They're not ethnically Arabs. They may speak Arabic, but they actually have their own language, Persian, as well as a couple others. And then there are territorial differences. And up in the northwest corner, besides the Kurds, you have very European-looking Persians, because some of the Indo-European tribes settled there. Actually, the Persians were Indo-Europeans. He criticizes the decadence of Rome. Yes, he does. But he always looks back on Augustus as pure and good, and that when Romans lose, it's because the Romans were too decadent. And he never gives credit to the other side. Let's just put it that way. Even if he's criticizing Rome, his criticism of Rome is backhanded insults to Rome's opposition. Veni Vidi Visa. I love that. That's a good one. Oh, geez, Efo. That's bad. That's bad. Yeah, I mean, let's face it, a lot of history is biased. When you study history, you start to take, even if you're studying history from 300 years ago, 400 years ago, you start to take a side. For example, when I study English history, there is so much treachery and nastiness, and history for years, even my beloved Shakespeare portrayed Richard III as an evil bastard. The more I study the Wars of the Roses and that time period, the 100 years before and the 100 years after, I'm on Richard III's side. Oh, but he killed those two. We don't know that. The Tudors tell us he did that. And yes, he's the one who had them arrested. But we will never know what happened to those twins. And there are hints and rumors that they died of the plague and Richard did not want to put it out there. But even so, it was dirty politics back then. And the truth is those I say twins, those two brothers, the two princes, they were more in Henry Tudor's way to get to the throne than they were Richard III's. If Richard III didn't kill him, Henry Tudor would have had to. Those two were basically doomed. But if you look at Richard's personality, he was always a deathly loyal, smart. He was a brilliant soldier and commander. He made one stupid bonehead move in his entire life, and it cost him his life. But he from the age of 16, he was commanding wings of his brother's army, his brother Edward IV. And he was the one brother that always stayed loyal to Edward IV. And he's the one Edward said, take care of my kids. And he vowed to do that. But Edward's wife, Elizabeth Woolridge, if I'm getting the name right, she was up to no good. There is a possibility she poisoned Edward IV. There is a possibility she killed him because she ignored Edward IV's will and started appointing her family and friends into positions of authority as Queen Mother that went specifically against what Edward said he wanted and what Richard was supposed to be doing. So it was an ugly time. But as I go back through history, I start to go, you know, maybe Richard III wasn't the bad guy. I'm sure that puts... Yeah, they buried him under a car park. Yeah, they gave him the mafia treatment. Or they put a car park over his grave. But let's face it, nobody knew where he was buried. A flirt, my kingdom for a flirt. Your Majesty! Hello! That's not the flirt I meant. Yeah, they do, Ifo. Because, you know, that whole region, let's take all politics or biases out. That region, the Fertile Crescent over through Mesopotamia and into Persia, that is the crossroads of the human race. When we migrated out of Africa, we went through there. When we migrated to Asia and then come back, we went through there or the Russian steppes. That area has always been a major crossing point and thus a major battlefield. That's why even in the Bible, I'm not talking religion, just quoting the source, we talk about Armageddon. Armageddon simply means on the hill of Megiddo. Because Megiddo is a town that has had at least 10 separate major battles, because it's kind of like halfway in the middle between the Hittite Empire, the various Sumerian, Mesopotamian, Babylonian, Assyrian empires in modern-day Iraq, and the Egyptians. So they would start marching to go to war with each other, and Megiddo was just right in the middle, and they fought so many battles there. And so it just became terms for a place of battle, Armageddon, at the hill of Megiddo. Hey, hello, Brad at Willow Creek Industrial Spur. Welcome in. So in that part of the world, you just have everybody. And of course, there's an area near Tibet in China where they have found that the people have very strong DNA that's most related to Celtic and Germanic. And and it's that these people might have migrated out of Eastern Europe and headed east, and that's where they got settled in. You're having a Miller tonight. What? You're drinking an American beer, or is it a different? Makito Baker. What, again? All right, let's go to some close-ups. We've been on this for an hour. Coming out of Delmenhorst Station and now coming in, let's check out. Actually, let's go right there, up the ramp. Coming into station, and we'll see two trains coming here. One's going to come from your right, and you can see the other one. There's the Flying Scotsman, although that's probably a misnomer. He should be the Rolling Scotsman. And there's that beautiful Märklin train. And then we'll switch to that camera in the bottom middle, right there. And then here it comes around the bend. And as it goes around the corner, it comes into this camera. I can't help it. I do love this guy. Bridge view. Workstation cam. Just get a quick one. The 11 lane. There it is. Nice view. But we'll switch over to the joist cam and catch it from this angle now. Now it's heading into this camera. And there's the Flying Scotsman again. And Alex, we have a three-way meeting there. And as it comes around this corner, we'll go to the Bremen-Bahnhof view. Although there's really not much there. There are some of the people I got from the Christmas display on the... and then you'll see it coming in at the bottom over there. Right now, there it is. And now it's going up the long stretch. Exactly, Chris. Yep. Went to Germany on holidays once as a kid. When we were small, I had breakfast in Germany, bought picnic in France, had picnic in Belgium, and got ice cream in Luxembourg on the way back. That sounds like a beautiful trip. As a kid, I would have loved all that. Now as an adult, I want to stay somewhere, like when Joyce and I started traveling in Europe in 2003, but we weren't traveling. We ran an exchange program, and I took a bunch of my students, and we lived in Germany for 3 weeks. So we lived in the city of Delmenhorst, and then we would do day trips to certain locations, and then we did the first 2 years, we did the first 3 years, we did a 3-day trip to Berlin as a special trip, where we went down to Potsdam and saw all the palaces of the Hohenzollerns, and toured Berlin and talked about World War II, the Nazis, the Holocaust, did the Holocaust Museum in Berlin, and so forth. But also did other parts of Berlin to talk about certain key points in German history, not just Nazi German history, but German history. Then in 2006, we got offered a deal to go down to the Alps for 4 days. So we did some extra fundraising, and I took all the kids, and we stayed 4 days in Garmisch-Partenkirchen by the Alps. And that was awesome. And then the next year, we got a deal to go to the Rhine River. So we went to the Rhine River and stayed 4 days in Koblenz. And Joyce and I really like Koblenz a lot. So then the special deals stopped getting offered, and we began talking to the students. Says, well, look, we'll do a special trip, but normally my students originally just had to pay the airfare. Everything else we did in Germany was covered. They had free room and board, and then we raised money to pay for museum admissions and whatever else. But we stopped getting the support that covered our first couple of special trips. So I would tell the parents, if you add $200 to the cost of the airfare, we can still do these special trips. And all the parents agreed to it. I never had a parent say, I can't send my kid. They always found a way to add the 200. And towards the end, we had bumped it up to 300. But we started rotating. We would go to, like 1 year would be the Alps, then it would be the Rhine River, 4 days in the Alps, 4 days on the Rhine River, or 4 days in the Dresden area, Eastern Germany. And that worked well. But otherwise, we lived in the town of Delmenhorst and then went places. So we really got kind of known in Delmenhorst that, like, when we'd come back the next year, everybody knew us. The local shops knew us. Even if it was different kids, they knew me and Joyce. And then my exchange program came to an end for a variety of reasons. Our last trip was 2016. So Joyce and I had always saved the money. We couldn't afford to do it, but I had money taken out of my paycheck before I got my paycheck and went into a savings account for the, we'd use our income tax to pay for the trip, the flight to Germany, and then other essentials. But in 2017, we weren't taking students, but the money was already put aside, so we went by ourselves, and we just picked, we went to Delmenhorst, and then we picked like 3 places and stayed 4 days, and we just felt like the 4 days in each place was not long enough. So now Joyce and I spend a week. When we went back to Germany in 2019, and we stayed 5 to 7 days in each town, and that just really was great. We got to know the local people and really kind of got accepted into certain circles, and that was great. And then in 2022, we went to the UK just to do something different. We spent 5 days or more. We spent 5 days in Cardiff, 5 days in Liverpool, well, 5 days in Bangor, 5 days in Liverpool, and 5 days in Edinburgh, and then 5 days in York. And we spent a total of 3 days in London, or 4 days, I guess, if you count the travel day. So we were over there for like 24 days. No, 28 days. It was exactly 4 weeks. But again, when we went back to Germany in 2023, we stayed a full week in each town. And that was all the difference. We stayed a week in Freiburg, and wow, it felt like you were living there. It's Schuffenbrau. Where is the Märklin store located in Germany? Well, there's... Hey, Sir Simon from SJ Train World. Welcome in, sir. When you say Märklin store, are you talking the official Märklin? It's in Göppingen at the Märklin factory. But then there are certain shops that are labeled Märklin stores. Like Gleis 11 in Munich, which literally is... It's Gleis 11, which means platform 11. Or lane 11. Gleis 11 train shop is literally on platform 11 at the Munich main central station, the main train station. So it's Gleis 11. That is a Märklin store. There's 2 in Essen. I believe Hunderbeiners in Aachen is considered a Märklin store. But there's like 11 of them in Germany that are considered Märklin stores. And that's different than the MHI stores, which any shop can be a member of. Because Lipa, which had never been a member of MHI, is now a member of MHI. I don't know how they worked that out with Märklin, but they worked it out. Because Märklin would not let them be part of MHI because they were cutting their prices lower than Märklin wanted them to cut. They were selling them below Märklin's lowest acceptable level to be a part of MHI. That's part of the conditions of MHI. Anyhow, and if I didn't say by name, hello, Sir Raymond Anthony. Welcome in. Ronnie James Dio's platform. So, yeah, the official one is Göppingen. Mit der Umlauts. Göppingen. Göppingen. And I've actually been there. And then in, so yeah, there's a list of them, and pretty much everyone I've checked is already sold out of this Loco. They got them right before Christmas, and most stores will order. You'll pre-order from the stores, but then they'll order a couple of extra to try to sell, and yeah, they sell out real fast. Hey, Sir Kieran, welcome in, welcome in. But I enjoyed, Joyce and I enjoyed our day at the Märklin factory and store and the Märklinium display museum. It was very cool. The Porsche museum was cooler because Porsche's toy collection museum was absolutely amazing. Being a toy collector for years, their museum was just absolutely cool. The toys going back hundreds of years. It was very cool. Hans-Peter Porsche's personal toy collection. And they have a beautiful display. I think the Märklinium display is better than the Porsche display. The Märklinium exhibition layout is better by that much than the Porsche one. And I put that fully on the trees. If you stand 10 feet away, they're equal. Okay? So really, you shouldn't be saying one's better than the other, but I do. But when you walk up close, the trees at the Märklinium are still very realistic, where when you're standing right against the little wall where the trains run and stand behind this wall, then you can see that their trains are a little bit, the trees, I mean, not trains. The trains are amazing. Hello, Sir Michael of McCarville Studios, welcome in. But they're both fantastic, okay? They're both A's, but I'd give one an A plus and one an A. Not even an A minus, A plus and A. And neither of them compares, obviously, to the Miniature Wonderland in Hamburg. But that's just, I mean, they're all beautiful, and there are parts of the Miniature Wonderland that they are upgrading that need upgrading. Hello, Ewan. Thank you for popping in. I appreciate seeing you here. Let me guess. Lee has a live stream. Yep. 6 p.m. UK time on Sunday. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Oh, sorry, Tim. I'm singing that band again. And Sir Digger is here. Hello, hello, hello. So many great people come here. And not all of them are even here. But to all of you, like Mark McDade, Donegal Dad, and Mark B, Model Railway Fantasia, who obviously had a huge success with his 3D printed stock. Those were amazing. Congrats to him for what seemed to be a very successful do-up. I do love U2 up to Achtung Baby, and then there are some songs I like after Achtung Baby, but they definitely lost me. But I remember listening to them on shortwave radio. We'd pick up like Radio Luxembourg, or maybe it wasn't, because I think Radio Luxembourg was defunct by 78, 79. But they, nobody in America had heard of U2, and my brother and I are listening to their first songs being played on Irish radio stations and like pirate radio stations, Radio Luxembourg or whatever, because my brother had a shortwave radio, and we'd pick up European rock stations and listen to that, because America at the time was in the clutches of that vile disco, and all the good rock and roll was coming from Europe. There were some good American rock bands. I love Cheap Trick at that time, you know, pop rock bands, but most of America was disco crazy, and then I started hearing punk rock out of the UK, and I was like, oh yeah, I love this. Started listening to all the punk bands, and then I got to Adam Ant. That first album, actually Dirk Wears White Socks is his first album, but Kings of the Wild Frontier was such an epically different album. I don't think it gets enough respect, but it was such a... He left punk, he completely left punk, he left post-punk, and Kings of the Wild Frontier was such an amazing amalgam of cowboy western, 50s rock, the Burundi beat out of Africa, pop rock and punk, all synthesized. And that second Adam and the Ants album was just absolutely amazing. Yeah, Cheap Trick, that's Rick Nielsen. One of the best guitarists, and people will always talk Eddie Van Halen, Mick Ronson, and Randy Rhoads, and all the other great guitarists. And Rick Nielsen never gets the respect he is deserved. He is one of the great rock and roll guitarists. And Cheap Trick was a good band. I have every YouTube album in vinyl through Achtung Baby. Then I have a couple, Joyce and I have a couple after that through CD. But I've got their Boy, October, War, which to me is still their best album. I can't help it. War to me is still their best album. Sunday Bloody Sunday. Of course, a lot of people like Joshua Tree, which has some good songs on it. And of course, Joyce and I did a parody of I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. I Still Haven't Found Trains I'm Looking For. Live at Red Rocks is a great one. Yeah, early semi-punk stuff. Yeah, I agree. Their first three albums were really good, even better, great. Unforgivable Fire was really good. Joshua Tree was good. Achtung Baby was really good. But the first three albums were their best three. But of course, my friend Tim Dowd doesn't like U2, and that's fine. And then after that, it's just individual songs. It's just a couple of songs off of each album I kind of like. Like Discotheque I kind of liked. But the whole album, How to Build an Atomic Bomb, there was some good stuff and some crap in there, in my opinion. Just my opinion. Yeah, I've got the Live at Red Rocks cassette, and because YouTube, getting their first two albums in vinyl in the United States was very hard. But I remember going into a record store in Toledo and saying, hey, there's this Irish band, U2, and he didn't have anything. It's like, we were just listening to them, they've got this really great stuff. Well, you know, it's not my database. And it was probably about the time they had released their first album, or maybe some of the stuff they were doing before their first album. But my brother and I used to always brag we were one of the first Americans to be into U2. And I've been to see U2 in concert more than any other band. I've seen them 5 times. I've seen Adam and the Ants twice. U2 5 times, and the last time I saw him was the Zooropa tour. Yeah, to a degree that's true, but then like Joyce and my daughter, Joyce loves all music. Joyce is more of a headbanger than I was. I got into punk rock, she never got into punk rock, but she was Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple. She kind of liked AC/DC. I don't think she would say she loved AC/DC, but early AC/DC, especially Bon Scott's, you know, the original lead singer. But she was a headbanger. She was a rocker. Like, she likes the Beatles. but she's not a Beatle maniac like I am. She'll say she loves the Beatles, but they're not necessarily her favorite. The disco played in America was fake. It was called disco. Obviously, disco got its name because it was club music played in clubs, and if you go into a club today, they play music very similar to disco because it was a certain beat to dance to. But it wasn't fake disco. It was all disco, and however they picked it up or made it a variation, it grew out of certain other music genres. But, you know, it's hard to call it fake when half the music was not from America to begin with. You know, the Bee Gees always said, you know, those years, we were not a disco band. They would get mad when people said, you were sellouts in the disco era. We were not. Yeah, they were. Okay, those were disco albums. They can say they weren't disco albums, but they were disco albums. Whether they were being influenced or thought they were doing something new. And I love the Bee Gees before their disco era. And one of their last albums before they started dying off, This Is Where I Came In. I love that song. That's my favorite song by them, This Is Where I Came In. That's my favorite song by the Bee Gees ever. I mentioned that to one of their road crew, a guy I met that had worked road crew for some of their 80s tours. And I met him through a friend that had been in the military and then worked road crews when he got out of the military. But this guy was not a friend. He's just a guy I met once. And he talked about back in the working when that album and song came out, they did a tour. And he says, the Bee Gees would have loved to have heard that. Because people either wanted the disco and they were sick of it, or wanted the old, you know, New York mining disaster. In the event of something happening to me, you know, and they were appreciative if fans allowed them to grow. Yeah, I will give you that, Pat Travers. My sister loved Pat Travers. Hey, welcome Great Northern 70. That's a new name here. And since you are not blue, am I blue? Am I blue? Let's knight you so that you are now a fellow member of the Rhomboid Table, a knight of the Rhomboid Table. I now declare you a knight of the Rhomboid Table. Hey, Great Northern, if you would like to, you can now post a link to your channel and we can all go check it out. And then you can also click on other people's names and go check out their channels. Now, we do have a couple of new people in. So I am an American who runs German trains. I tend to be Era 6, but anybody who's followed this channel the last couple of years know I am no longer, Joyce likes to point that out, you are not Era 6 anymore. I still prefer Era 6, but I definitely have all eras covered now. I have eras 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Era 6 actually in the American and German nomenclature is anything after 2000. Hey, Ray and Tammy, Sir Ray and Lady Tammy, welcome in. Great to have you here. Yeah, but see, the thing is, when you talk Kraftwerk, Raymond, you're talking technopop. They have their own thing, and yes, some of the beats are the same because it came out of the disco. You know, they all came out of the discotheque music genre because you had the techno stuff. And I mean, you can go into clubs in Europe today, which I would never do because most of the time I like some Kraftwerk, but overall, when I hear dance music, I can't stand it. Whether it's dance music from 60s discotheques, the disco of the 70s, dance music of the 80s, 90s, to now, I can't stand dance music. Whatever variations you have, it's like jazz. I'm just not into jazz. There are some eras of jazz I don't mind, but I'll never sit down and just put on a jazz album and listen to it. I just, you know, and the people into jazz go, oh, you just don't have the ear. Well, I don't like the jazz snobbery. You know, it's just another form of music. It's cool to the people who love it, but I would rather listen to the Beatles, the Who, good Pink Floyd, and I'm a Pink Floyd heretic, because I think Syd Barrett is overrated. I know Pink Floyd wouldn't exist, and he's the inspiration to all their great stuff. Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, and even The Wall, which I don't think is a great album. It's an important album, but I don't think it's a great one. Dark Side of the Moon is just a mother effing great album. Wish You Were Here is a great album. Animals, too much Roger Waters, not enough of the rest of the band. The Wall, too bombastic. Great song. Some of their best stuff is on The Wall, but a lot of it is just garbage. It's sort of like The Who's Tommy. There's some great stuff in Tommy, and then there's some crap. Yeah, Metal is I love the album Metal. In fact, Fearless is probably in my top 5 favorite Pink Floyd songs. And I'll tell you, and again, I like a lot of the early Syd Barrett stuff. Astronomy Domine, Power Talk H, and a lot of the stuff he did, I like, but by the second album, he was garbage, and the stuff he released solo was just stuff that he actually had recorded when he was still with Pink Floyd, but he was just so stoned out of his mind, nobody could ever get it make sense. He's a tragic character, and clearly their experience with him inspired their 3 great albums. But his body of work itself, I think, is overrated. I think there are good songs and a lot of crap. I've got to bike it, you know. Oh, you're a Deadhead. See, I never got into the Grateful Dead. I was never big on the Grateful Dead. Not a hater, just never got into them. I rock and roller, but I did punk, and I did a lot of bands in the 80s that I probably am ashamed to admit I liked. Like I said, I loved Adam and the Ants, but once he did the Prince Charming album had one good song on it, and the rest was garbage. And then Goody Two Shoes was tripe, and everything he did after that to me was just sort of meh. He had some decent stuff, but it was like one song per album. But his earliest Adam and the Ants stuff before half the band left and became Bow Wow Wow. But his early stuff, his early punk stuff, like Plastic Surgery, if you can ever get a good copy of Plastic Surgery, that's a great song. I love that song. Greta X, that's an interesting one. I don't like, well, that'll come out the wrong way no matter how I say it. I love the song, even if the subject theme is not my thing. It's still a great song. The beat, the guitar riffs are great. Christian Dior is one of my all-time favorite Adam Ant songs. God, I love Christian Dior. I've got the fetish for coffee, a fetish for tea. But I love Christian Dior. And then the Kings of the Wild Frontier album just blew me away. Best U.S. band, Ramones. I like some of the Ramones, but there's a lot I don't like about the Ramones. But I have a couple of Ramones albums, including the Greatest Hits, and I have a big Ramones playlist because, yeah, there's a lot of the Ramones I do like. I remember going to see Rock and Roll High School. Love Rush. Never got into Steely Dan, Chris. Never got into Steely Dan. And it got worse. Now, Joyce liked some Steely Dan, and I had a sister who loved Steely Dan. But I remember Donald Fagen gave an interview where he bashed the Beatles. It was like, I already didn't like them, but that was like, dude, you are free to not like the Beatles. But if you say, when you say, anybody who says the Beatles are overrated and blah, 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 you're a moron. I'm sorry. If that loses me 10 subscribers or whatever, you can dislike the Beatles, but they are not overrated. There's a reason the world of music changed drastically. There was before the Beatles and after. And 100 years from now, people will still be playing the Beatles. And you got Paul is 82 going on 83, and Ringo is 84 going on 85, and they're still out there touring and playing. Holy crap, can you imagine 85? and you're out there touring. Warren Zevon is good. Warren Zevon is good. Again, my oldest sister, Tina, who passed away almost 30 years ago now, she was a huge Warren Zevon fan, so I would listen to a lot of Warren Zevon. Werewolves of London. Oh. Yes, he wrote a lot of great songs. But to me, there are definitely bands I love, but usually it's a few songs, and most of the time I'll be like, the band was, but they have some songs. Like, I'm not a huge Steeler Wheels fan, but wow, Jerry Rafferty wrote some great songs with Steelers Wheels. Well, hello, Jeff Hammond. Sir Jeff, welcome in. Watching you from Austria. I'm jealous. I'd like to be watching me from Austria. Österreich. Joyce and I spent 8 or 9 days between Vienna and Salzburg in 2023, and we actually were grumpy while we were there because it got really hot and there were just massive crowds, and it kind of put us in sort of a mood. But now we look back at everything we did and saw in Vienna and Salzburg. It's like, oh my God, it was so awesome. But Joyce and I have never had a bad trip. We've loved everywhere we've gone. We've loved the people. We have never run into like a country where we'll never go back there. And the thing is, Great Northern, obviously, you're in Saint Anton. Okay, I know where that is, Saint Anton. Even the early stuff, if you understand their first album, and I go by the original British albums, not the American Mutants. For its time, their first album blew the doors off of a lot of things, even if half their songs were just redone American tracks. But the way they redid them, like if you listen to the Isley Brothers Twist and Shout and then the Beatles Twist and Shout, I love the Isley Brothers version, but the Beatles version is better. They add something that they added to all their songs that just took it to another level. And they were one of the first bands that actually wrote all their songs. But Rubber Soul is a great album. But the album Help is a great album. There's some crap on it too. Ringo singing What Goes On is not exactly a fond memory. What goes on in your heart? But he liked country western and he needed a song to sing because they always gave Ringo a song to sing. There are like the great conundrum is that I think in some ways Sgt. Pepper's is their weakest album, but it's also the most important album in pop rock and roll history. That was the Mount Krakatoa of albums. That changed the music scene forever. And it's got some of their best stuff. And the recording sessions, like if Strawberry Fields and even Penny Lane were put on Sgt. Pepper's as originally planned, and they took off, like When I'm 64, although a lot of people like that song, and maybe another song I might get rid of, then it would be their best album. Because Strawberry Fields was part of that recording session. But they recorded it early with Penny Lane and released it as a single, and the Beatles, of course, would never release a song as a single if it was on the album. Yeah, and I might debate whether the Stones have released that many great albums in a row. The Stones have some good albums, but really they were good at having a couple of two or three catchy, great songs on an album, and then a lot of filler crap. Led Zeppelin definitely had 3 or 4 good albums in a row. Who else did you mention? Pink Floyd. Metal. Adam Hart, Mother, you can take or leave, but definitely Metal. which is a great introduction to where Pink Floyd finally went, but metal. Dark Side of the Moon, one of the greatest albums. I mean, Sgt. Pepper's is the greatest album in terms of what it meant, but maybe the greatest rock and roll album of all time is Dark Side of the Moon. Although I might argue Abbey Road fights with it. And of course, I could also make an argument The Who Live at Leeds as one of the greatest. Maybe Who Live at Leeds, I'd say, is the greatest live album of all time. But then you'd have people arguing, what about the concert for Bangladesh or Woodstock? But the Beatles were the music of my childhood. I was born in '63, so the Beatles were the music of my childhood. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Stones songs I like, but I've never been huge Stones fans. They were always a bit phony to me. There were a bunch of prep school boys trying to act like they were blues badasses, you know, and trying to act like they were hardcore, but they were models and prep boys. They all came from really good, nice, well-to-do homes, and they tried to act like they were hardcore. And the Beatles, who came from some of the poorest neighborhoods of Liverpool, especially Ringo, John, of course, had the tragic childhood he had. They came from some tough things, and they sang about mostly love and so forth, but they were brilliant poets and brilliant creative because they weren't musically trained. But you know, everybody's got their favorites, and I will never condemn somebody for liking or disliking a band. Like I'm not a Elvis Presley fan at all, but he is the most important thing to white rock and roll. Now, I can be negative and say he just stole black rock and roll and packaged it for white America, but somebody needed to do it if rock and roll was going to come out to white America. He is the other Krakatoa. The original Black Sabbath, very good, and Joyce loves the original Black Sabbath. And somewhere around here we have the album Paranoia, the vinyl. Oh yeah, Chris, thank you for referencing Lemmy Kilmister's. And again, the Beatles, people don't understand is, I mean, the Beatles actually had more than 8 albums. But the Beatles were releasing 2 albums a year. Can you understand? Bands today release 1 album every 3-4 years. They release an album, they go on tour for a year, maybe a year and a half, then they relax, then they go back in the studio and record at a slow pace. The Beatles were doing 2, sometimes 3 albums a year. Let me see. We got Please Please Me with the Beatles, which became sort of Meet the Beatles in the U.S., but then Hard Day's Night, Beatles for Sale, Help, Rubber Soul, Revolver, awesome album with a couple of songs I'd get rid of. Sgt. Pepper's, there's 8 right there. Yellow Submarine, which was an EP in the UK. The White Album. And then Let It Be, which was recorded before Abbey Road, and then Abbey Road. So that's, I lost count, was that 10 or 11? We don't need no education. Actually, I was working on something like that, Raymond, a little. We don't need no rivet counters. Dun, 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 dun. Museum layouts in the attic. And if you're new to this channel and didn't know, my wife and I we take famous rock and roll, or apparently occasionally obscure rock and roll songs, and we do model train hobby parodies of them. In fact, somebody asked me on the last song we did, which was, we took the song The Jam. See, there's a band I love, The Jam. And I never got into Peter Weller's solo career or his time with Style Council. But The Jam was, and we did That's Entertainment. All right, Leslie, good night. Take care. That's a good one. We don't need no point control. Hey, train club. Leave my trains alone. My track is by a company called Märklin, and it is called C-Track. It is a pre-bedded, and I always have a sample here in case somebody asks. I learned all this stuff I got into trains and suddenly had... All my trains are Central European, although I'm running the only British train in 3-rail released in the last 20, 30 years. Ifo and Raymond can correct me. But it's the only 3-rail because it is 3-rail track. So let me go to the big camera. Where we at? Bingo. Okay. So this is a turnout. And this is Märklin C-Track. It's pre-bedded. And actually in Germany there is ballast that is this color. So you can do this and make it look more realistic. But... you know, the vast majority of people who run Märklin, but it is 3-rail, and you can see the 3rd rail are these nubs here. We call them nubs. The actual 3rd rail is underneath, and you can see the flat side of it running through here in the turnout. Do I have a straight piece here? I normally do. Nope, that's another turnout. And this one has the motor still in it, so the nice thing is you don't have to put a motor underneath it. You have a motor here and then a decoder. You don't even have to wire it underneath. It runs through the power of the track. So you connect the decoder to these two. There's actually a 3rd one that connects over here. So you have the decoder the motor connects to the decoder, which is prefabricated to fit right in here. Do I have, let me show my other bits here. He said show his bits. The UK people are cringing. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. This is something I'm going to be installing sooner rather than later. But there you can see the motor and the decoder. And then the decoder and the motor wire, and then they plug into the track. Now these dangly wires are to a light that is up here. That is your switch light or lamp, whatever you want to call it. But this is C-Track. This is a series of double slips I'm going to be installing. I'm taking out some turnouts and putting in double slips. But yeah, so nothing needs to be wired under the table. It's digital train for dummies, which is perfect for me. But it's based in a 360 millimeter or 36 centimeter format. So the tracks come in various things that add up to 360. But it's wonderful. It's great stuff. I got into it by accident, and I'm glad I did. I did 3-rail by accident. I've only been in the hobby since 2016. Well, December of 2015. I've only been in the hobby since 2016, which is a long time. Isn't a long time, really. Oh, we were up over 40 at one point. Now we're way gone. Too much electronic things. In the OOHO world? Well, technically you can. Well, thank you very much, Northern and Southern Rail fan Dirk. I do love my layout. It's taken some beating in the head to call it a layout. I always called it a train table because I think a layout is something that somebody is actively working on. But then somebody said, yeah, but when you don't call yours a layout, other people feel like you're putting them down. So I don't want to put anybody down. Hey, Chase Railway, how are you? The REM. Oh, yeah, losing my train mojo. But yeah, somebody asked us, would we do a top 10? What are our top 10 favorite songs? And Joy, the minute you ask Joyce her favorite anything, you get she won't answer it. She cannot say. You ask her a favorite food. You ask her a favorite color. The only time she has an answer is if you ask her favorite husband because she only has one to choose from. And even then, she might take a while to answer it. Oh, well, that's cool. I need to warm up my 3D printer and put it to work for the first time in 7 months. Oh, God, Raymond, I cannot stand Kid Rock. He is the biggest fraud. There's nothing about that guy I like. When he first came out, it's like, you lived 80 miles north of me. Your dad owns a ton of cars. He's trying to come out like some tough guy that lived on the streets and had a tough... He went to private schools. He was a spoiled little rich kid. And he's like the Duck Dynasty guys. He put on a fake act. Like the Duck Dynasty with the beard and the accent. That was 100% fake. If you find pictures of the Duck Dynasty guys a year before the show started, they're wearing polo shirts. They're hanging out at the country clubs, drinking wine, and blah, blah, blah. And they got the idea to do a redneck show, and they did it because they were rich from their hunting decoys. But they all, including the most cantankerous one of them all, they all were country club, and it was just a show, an act they did. And people chewed it up and bought it. Orange County Choppers was another one. Yeah, I don't know. I designed it to fit what I needed, but I would not say it's a great design because, let's go to the long view here. I'm a tall guy. I am 6'4". Okay, barefoot I'm 6'3.5", but the minute I put on shoes, I'm 6'4". The minute I put on socks, I'm close enough. There's a lot of hard to reach places here. And when you got a clean track or something derails, especially now with these computer monitors, trying to reach something here, and in fact, that's the big job I now have. I think I'm off camera where you can't see my face. These are the turnouts I'm taking out. There's no easy way to reach them. I have to disconnect this monitor and this monitor, move them aside, and then step up here, because yes, this will support my weight here, to take all of these out, and then that row of double slips is going back over there. That row of double slips is going back there. Yeah, you guys could just see where there's a track that's coming on. That one track way over here, that track right there, that leads to a parking area with my high-speed trains, all my ICE, well, not all my ICEs now, but my primary ICEs and Railjet. And I'm going to move all of this back with the double slips, and basically the double slips are all going to go in off camera. Well, not all, but that's going to go back about 2 feet. And then all those double slips come in so that I can run trains all the way from lane 1 to lane 5 right there, so I don't have to use all these extra turnouts that I have. And those turnouts there are not, they're there just for electrical and letting trains get from one lane to another when I want to run a train on a certain lane. So that's why all those turnouts are there. They're not prototypical, but I'm not a rivet counter for sure. I have certain trains that I want to look as they do when I'm in Germany. Six-foot dwarf. But yeah, it's 3-rail. You know, like a Lionel train would work on here if you had a Lionel HO. In fact, the American company MTH made 3-rail locomotives to run on the Märklin system. Which, if I could find some MTH 3-rails, I might pick up a couple of them if they were digital, because that's the thing. Now, you can run this analog, but my setup is all digital. So all my turnouts have the motor and the decoder. But the nice thing is, motor, decoder, wired, snap it in, nothing drilled underneath. I have one set of power wires running the main loops. And they're connected right here. So it's one black, one red, connected to a track right here. Connected to this track right here. Well, in here. And then I have an additional one, an extender that connects from that same power point and then runs to my parking area you see here. And then a third one runs all the way over to that parking area. I technically don't need it, but I did find that when I installed it for that parking area, trains did come out more smoothly. Hey, Possum Bio, nice to have you here. Rusty, I believe. Yep, somebody just typed it. And CLL is here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for stopping by the Outsiders channel. Yeah, the thing is, I am about running trains. I freely share with people. I have, it's not a big deal. I don't ask, you know, I'm on the low end. I have autism, but I'm on the very low end of autism. Unfortunately, I didn't get diagnosed until I was married and had kids. Although a teacher when I was in kindergarten suggested, but in 1968, 69, nobody had really heard of autism. And when this teacher said it, my parents, they moved me to a different school because this teacher thinks there's something wrong with our kid. I was like, no, there's nothing wrong, but it would have helped. But anyhow, I also have ADD. Joyce has ADHD. I have ADD. And running 6 trains at a time, it just appeases both those parts of me. I could just sit here. I don't have any block detection. I just turn the trains on and I sit here and let them go. And even the cameras, as I've said many times lately, because Scott Rails mentioned me a couple of times in some of his live streams lately about OBS, doing my OBS video that helped him. And then also he came into a live stream where I was talking about, I had 6 cameras on my layout long before I started live streaming. Because the cameras, you know, now, this insanity, and I've got 5 other cameras not connected here that are solo. There are certain cameras, but like here, this is 12 cameras. I've got 12 cameras on this screen. If I turn on the GoPro, it's 13. If I turn on my phone camera, that's 15. I've got 2 different tablets, 16, 17. I've got another camera I disconnected from over here because it had problems. 18. So yeah, I've got 18 or more cameras that I run in my live streams. But anyhow, I had 6 before I ever did a live stream because they gave me views I otherwise wouldn't get in my trains. Because, you know, this up the ramp view, this view right here. Well, I love this view. I love watching one of my trains like the Metronom here coming up. I love watching it coming on. So I stuck a camera back there. No, I have not heard of Midwest Magic Cleaning. But if it was just this view, I would get bored with it. I actually need to go fix that camera because it's popped up high. The wire extender is kind of heavy and it pulls that camera off, so it actually needs to be down so you'd see the whole track here. But that's just a different angle that I can't have sitting here. Some angles I could get up and do, but then like the village view, I don't show this view enough because there's only 3 trains that occasionally run through this, and then you have a lot of dead time. If I go the other way, this is called the long view. You've seen this view. Well, this gives you, well, there's all kinds of activity here because you got 3 trains just running on this table and 3 longer ones running the whole circuit. Maura, I think if you're into trains, it's usually, for most people, mesmerizing. But for me, it is. It is a nerve calmer. I literally only come down here when my grandson, I don't come down here and run trains like I used to. I come down the couple of days a week, I watch my grandson if he wants to run trains. And then I run them for 3 hours on my live stream. And then that's usually through the rest of the week. I'm working on other things. Since I've retired, I've got all sorts of little things I do. And so I get my fix. My live stream is as much for me as it is. Really, my live stream is selfish. It's people coming in, and I like to have people around and yet be safe. That's part of the autism. I get to babble and talk. And if people don't like what I say, they're free to go without any negativity. And then if people like me to watch my trains, but I'm very aware I'm very lucky. I've gotten to a situation in life, wasn't always there, where I can afford to buy some of these trains, and my kids are gone. I could take over the entire basement. This is just a finished basement, and this is half our house. Well, not anymore. It's the attic became our bedroom, and then the upstairs, the entire area above this is the living area. 2 bedrooms and a small bathroom between them, a living room, and then a galley kitchen with a small dining area. And then in 2002, we added an addition to the house to have a bigger dining area because I'm 6'4". Joyce is the short one in the family. She's 5'7" to 5'8". My 2 daughters are about 5'11", and my son is 6'2". I really thought my son would pass me, but he didn't. Yeah, I mean, I have built most of these buildings before the hands really got bad. But yeah, I don't. Someday I'll have static grass. Someday I'll finish my Fowler car system, and I'll rearrange these. But like this area here, there it is. See, this is the part that's true reality. This is set up to represent the city of Delmenhorst, except I need to do some things. For example, this street here, there is a street here. This should be angled that way towards the bus station. There should be a 3rd street here, which goes straight, a 2nd street here that goes straight to the bus station. And then this 3rd street here curves around to the train and bus station. I just moved all this and set it up like this while I was working on the Fowler car system, because that is actually Delmenhorst. Delmenhorst has a giant concrete area with some tree pots, where they have the bus station and bus turnaround as well as the train station. But the gray area and then the white area would be where the buildings actually come to. And in reality, it's 3 blocks, but I'm doing 1 extended block. Well, that's my problem, Mara. I got all my trains running, and I stopped working on the layout. I was like, I'm happy. This is good. But Yeah, there's some people. But it's just, I love the German trains. It's what got me into model trains. I haven't shown the British. I do have a couple of UK trains. I will someday get American trains. I will try to add a couple of American trains. But what I really want is a modern era Amtrak, you know, like the Asila. But we haven't looked at, sorry to my friends, I haven't really, whoops, wrong one. There we go, click on that one. So down on the floor. I'm running a little Javelin. I need to find, hey, that's what somebody could do. If somebody goes to a train show and you happen to see spare cars for this 2012 Olympic Javelin, depending on price, I mean, I don't want to spend more than 30 pounds. But if somebody could find at least 2 for me in that London 2012 Olympics livery, because all I got are the 2 end cars right now, I'd like at least 2 of the middle cars. So if anybody sees them or knows somewhere. And yeah, and this is a lot of people's layout. It's, you know, you do what you can do. That's why I'm very honest and forthright about, I realize how lucky I am. And I don't, the channels I watch are people that love their trains and just have a great sense of egalitarianism. You know, we're all brothers and sisters in this. We're all siblings in this hobby. There's nobody better. There's nobody worse. The minute somebody's like, this is the right way to do it, I'm not watching their channel. And I have unsubscribed from many channels over the years because they just came across as where I love their trains, I love their layout. They just seem to have that, there's a right way and a wrong way. If your trains move, that's the right way. And you go, but if your train's moving backwards, then switch the direction button and it'll go forwards. Well, that's the third thing is autism, ADHD, and then I do suffer from manic depression. And it's too hard to explain manic depression. Rude comments, very rarely. And I have never had a hissy fit where I've quit YouTube. I've never had that where somebody said something that hurt me. There are comments that bothered me. There are comments that have pissed me off. But I was a public school teacher for 36 years. I stood in front of students that didn't always like me. I had to read in the newspaper, on TV every day. Teachers suck. Teachers suck. Teachers suck. Teachers suck. Teachers don't understand my kid. You gotta have thick skin to be a teacher. Okay? You've got to have thick skin to be a teacher. You either develop it or you had it and you lose it. And I happily did my job for 36 years, and I left fully capable of doing more. But you should always leave a job before you want to. If you are blessed, I'm blessed. Well, I don't believe in that, so I was fortunate enough that I had a job where I could retire. I did 36 years and I could retire. And I'm grateful for that. I loved my job. The day I quit my job, I still loved it. But I knew it was getting harder. It was the negatives were growing. The positives were weakening. There were certain fights. I was just tired of fighting with principals and boards of education and stuff. It was... And that's the way it should be, Moira. Now, see, Chris, I'm the opposite. I will either ignore, sometimes even delete a comment I think was inappropriate. But if somebody really wants to get into it, that's where my ego shows up. Because I'll get into a battle of wits and I won't lose. I'm sorry to come across as arrogant, but If somebody wants to have a little verbal battle, I'm all in. Let's go. You want to have an insult fight? You want to have a cleverness debate? You want to have I'm gung ho. But I would rather avoid those. I've had many of those in my life. I don't need to do slit fights anymore. But, you know, some get you more than others. Backhanded compliments get you more can get me at times. But then it's like if we do a parody song, all right, we're putting ourselves out there. If anybody hates on my voice, guys, I hear my voice. I know how bad it is. But I couldn't talk or bribe Joyce into singing for me for that song, so I had to do it. It's me or Joyce. There's no other choice. That rhymed, by the way. Yeah, exactly. Great Northern, I spent, beginning in 2003 until 2016, I traveled, I was in charge of an exchange program from my high school, which was just an urban, working class high school, but we had a good German program, and we got selected. The mayor of the city of Delmenhorst and the head of their sister city's delegation, they came and they toured every Toledo high school and German program, public school and private school, and they visited mine, and all I know is 4 days later, my principal called me into a meeting and said, Anthony, they want you to do an exchange program. I told you you probably weren't interested, and I had never been to Europe. The only country I'd been to was Canada. And, I said, oh, hell yeah, we'll do an exchange program. And that was in 2002, and then I talked to Joyce, and then I began talking to the teacher from the school in Delmenhorst, and we came out with a plan. We did our first exchange in 2003, and we did every year till 2016, but he retired along the way. Another couple came in and took over the exchange program. They quit when they started having children, and so it was me the whole time because my kids were already grown up. And then in 2017, when we had to cancel the exchange program, the money was already set aside. So Joyce and I, for the first time in our life, traveled abroad on our own, and we loved it. We went back to Germany in 2019, and I just fell in love with riding trains in Germany. When I've been in the UK and I've been in Germany, I've never rented a car. It's always travel by train, bus, or walk. Train, bus, subway, tram, walk. We use public transportation or our feet. Yeah, you know, the number one thing with trains is accept what you're into and accept what you can do. Somebody can't look at me and go, oh man, that's, you know, if you look at me and say, oh, he's lucky, he's got all that. Yes, I am lucky. I'm aware of that. But I watch friends that are running their trains on a floor in a bedroom. And I love every minute of every video, every second of every video they do, because I just love watching their trains go around. And some, like Tim, I hope you don't mind me mentioning you, CEO Tim. Tim Dowd doesn't put up many videos, but I love it when he's got this beautiful rings of tracks, and he runs his trains in this one room of his house because he doesn't have the ability to put up a full layout. So he's got them on the floor. That's what he has. But beautiful trains, and he runs them. So I don't... my buddy Randall here. Randall, I hope you don't mind me mentioning you. Randall runs them on basically a dining room table in a circle. Who cares? He's got all these cool trains, and he teaches me about the American trains because I don't know a damn thing about American trains except what Randall tries to teach me. So he puts his models up and says, Hey y'all, here I'm putting this up here and I'm doing this, and that's a really bad Randall impersonation, but Randall actually could do a pretty good Elvis impersonation, I think, because that's what I did. I wound up doing Elvis. Thank you very much. Hey, there's Sir Tom. And, you know, and so the thing is, Randall loves his models, and he loves to show his models. And Randall works in the American rail industry, so it has a special meaning to him. And that joy of his models comes out. Hot Dog Pilot, he's got a nice shed layout, okay? He's one of those guys that there's times of the years and days in the year you can't go out in the shed because it's just hard to do that. I'm in perfect climate control. So no, I agree. $1,500 for that train is a great deal. You just tell me where to send the money and... Oh, hi Joyce. You didn't hear anything. You heard nothing. Oh. No, I was doing that looking for your reaction, and you are clearly tired. You've had a long day at work, I see.
A very long day.
Yes, and now you've come down here to hang out with us.
Yep.
I gotta find Joyce Cam. Hang on. Wrong place. Sorry, dear. Didn't mean to do that. Somebody just got home from work.
Oh, I need the camera. Or the
You got the camera. You need the
I
microphone.
need the microphone, right. All right, well, first of all, hi, everybody. So, hi, Randall and Tom.
You need to have like that old romper room,
Hi,
you know, the little
Bailey. Hi,
mirror.
Colin. Hi, Randall. Hi, Mick. I know you weren't saying
Hi,
that, but
Mick.
it's
That's a
okay.
type of locomotive
I'll
in the
wave.
UK.
Yeah, right. So, hello, Mara.
That was a Hymic.
So,
Look, it's a toe.
hi, Mystic. Hi there, Greg. Yes, I saw that. I was listening to you earlier. So, hi,
History
Andy.
shows again and again. It's
And
Godzilla.
Dino. And, hi, Lee. And, Norfolk. Hello.
Hey, Greg again. Yeah, Greg.
Yeah, I know.
Greg's just
I
saying
saw,
hi
I know.
once or
I
twice.
saw Greg as fighting
Yeah.
his chemo drugs. I'm so sorry, Greg. We sure don't want to lose you.
Rats.
So I hope you're okay. Never fear, Joyce is here. Yes, for whatever that's good for. Oh. Here, took the reins.
Stop being. You
What?
just got home from work. We accept you as you are.
I know. Yeah, just a lot to set up. Oh,
If you're really worried about how you look later, you can put on the black
hello,
leather.
Billy.
Hi, Billy.
Hi, Billy.
Oh, but he said hi, Joyce. So just you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Should we give him like a cayenne?
Hi, Billy.
I don't know if we'll see Cayenne today
Yeah. I don't
because
know
Lynn's
either.
out working on a car. She said till 5 o'clock
Oh,
at
gotcha.
least,
Okay.
and Cayenne
Oh.
went with her.
Oh, that's right. She took Highway, but it's
Yeah.
raining a lot.
She's out working on doing a car.
I took my rain gauge in, so I don't know how much rain we got, but it feels like a lot. Of course, it's about 2 inches down. It's still heavy. Oh, they said if it's so. Hi, Tom. So they said if it was snow, it would have been 5 to 10 inches. But we're on the warm side.
I know, honey.
Yeah.
It's tough. Weather and other things. When you expect 5 to 10 and don't get it.
Oh, well, no. We knew right away it wasn't going to be. He just gave the conversion.
Good night, folks.
Oh, my goodness.
We
really?
just went blue. Willie showed up and we went blue. We got to stop that. I got to stop that.
We got blue?
I can't help it. You know, dirty comedy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. So behave. There's Billy's in here.
Little Willie won't go, but you can't tell Willie because Willie won't go. And we were talking bands
You don't
earlier. There's
need
another
no
great
ribbon
one.
counters, of course. Yeah, it's raining. My hair's got a little curl to it, where it's been pretty flat. What?
Oh, I was reading what Mystic was saying. Use your boss, and I started doing a Pink Floyd parody. We don't need no rivet counters. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it's true, we don't. Although we watch some that are river counters, but we forget them.
Yeah, but I mean, there are. See, the funny thing is, there are rivet counters who say they're not rivet counters, but they are.
Yes, that's true.
But like I said, I will never say anything negative about a channel. Even the one time there was a controversy between me and a channel, I love that channel. They just insulted some people they shouldn't have insulted. But
Right.
that was 2 years ago. It's gone now. And the channel they insulted is big and huge and awesome and well deserved.
Yeah. Yes.
I just have that sort of knight
Yeah.
in shining armor. How dare you?
Right, indeed.
Rule 3.
I did, and that's worrying me a lot.
What's that?
Your $1,500.
But thank you for reminding her that she didn't hear it.
I did hear it. Yes, I did. Like, what are you doing now?
Well, you notice how quickly I did that as soon as she came in. I just wanted to see if I'd get the head jerk. What? But no, she was either. It was too obvious not true.
I was
Like-
shelving it for later, off screen.
You know, normally we do the I'm laughing in here, I'm cussing in here.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, golly.
But anyhow,
Oh,
yeah.
hi, Raymond.
So to me, it's the people who have a love of their trains and the hobby. And
Yeah.
you know, my love of channels goes from guys that just do exquisite quality work, like Everard Junction, except that layout is now gone. He's got a new house. I keep waiting to see if he's going to post an update on all the changes in his life.
Mm-hmm.
But, because I miss the guy. He's a good guy. And he does exquisite. He is a rivet counter for his own layout. But the cool thing about him is he says, I do this for me. I don't judge. And some people don't get that. It's like me. I have standards for me. I don't hold other people to the standards I hold me. The only standard I hold people to is fun. We want people, we love the channels where people have fun with what they're doing when it's not a negative form of fun. And that's what our channel is. I mean, we try to be a fun channel.
We try to be a fun
Matt Clark.
Yeah.
I rewatched the Christmas special last night because
Singing,
somebody is
singing,
starting to write the new
singing,
Matt Clark
singing,
series. I'm putting notes
singing.
together and
Okay.
getting ready. So that might be, I don't know when. I'm still expecting it'll be summerish before I release the new season of Matt Clark. But I've got plot lines and things. I've got to decide a few things. But yes.
You added on to your Märklin train.
Yeah, I took all the red stuff and threw it on.
You did, yeah. I see that.
Anything that was red, I threw on.
Well, same shade of red, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's Deutsche Bahn red.
Yeah.
Verkehrsrot. It's called Verkehrsrot. Traffic red.
So good. Is Sparky here?
Is
What
he?
time is it here? It is 5:45 p.m. We are on Eastern Standard Time.
Are we on standard now or daylight? No, standard.
Yeah,
Daylight's
we're on
in the
Standard
summer.
Time.
We're on
Daylight's in the
standard
summer.
time.
Yeah.
We need to get rid of it.
Who was it? No, we're not gonna say who it was.
No.
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
Sparky.
Everard Junction. Oh, who's that? UK guy. Exquisite channel. Everard. Everard. Everard Junction.
Everard.
Exquisite. And one of the largest UK
He is
channels.
very talented.
He's a rivet counter to himself, but he's very cool. But when you listen to him, he sounds very serious and direct.
Really?
But he's actually a very funny, fun-loving.
I make it down here, our time, 5 o'clock.
It's been a while since she's been here at 5, but she's been
yeah.
here every day, every Friday.
Yeah,
You
I've
haven't
been here
missed
every
one.
Friday. I haven't missed. Well, no, I had one I wasn't feeling well. I came down for a hot second and then said,
That's
yeah,
true, but
back
you
upstairs.
did make an appearance.
But I did make an appearance. Too late. They already heard it. Yeah, he's a good one.
But he's great. Of course, Charlie Bishop is trying to, his goal is to get 100,000 subs, and he's like at 70, but Everard was at 90, 80 to 90 last I checked.
There you go.
What?
He retracted the message. I was trying to read it.
Oh, okay.
Like, we only need new glasses.
He was because when I started watching UK channels, the biggest channel was Will at IC82.
Right.
He had close to 100,000 at the time, and then now Sam's Train I think is the biggest UK channel with his 100 and whatever thousand he has.
Talk about losing your mojo.
What's that?
Will.
Oh,
Really lost
yeah.
his
Well,
mojo.
Will had other things in life that happened.
He did.
He was trying to adopt kids, and they went at him.
Yeah.
Because he was gay, and I'm not gonna let you adopt kids. You're gay.
Cares?
And they
My
just put him through
God.
hell.
They did put him through the ringer.
He and his husband wanted to adopt some orphans, and
Hi, Andrew.
Raymond, I was just telling you, Will a few years ago was trying. Will was an IT guy, and he worked as a part-time teacher and also volunteered in a daycare. And he wanted to have children, but obviously being gay, there's only a couple ways to have kids. Adoption, the primary one. So he was going through this multi-year process where he's trying to adopt these two kids.
Well, and he put a lot of money into his house, getting it
and the
suitable
people
for
kept
them.
finding reasons why they couldn't let him
Right.
do it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, your house needs this done, and you've got these electric trains, and those are dangerous, and blah. You know, they kept finding reasons. And then they finally just flat out told him that their organization wasn't going to let him do it because he's gay, and he went
Right.
into a depression.
Yeah, it really ripped him.
And he stopped. He
We-
fell behind because
we
people were
felt
mailing him stuff
for
to
him.
work on because he used to work on things, and people,
Yeah.
and he fell way behind.
And you know what depression is, and you can't motivate yourself.
And then when he
Sometimes
came
you get
back,
out of bed.
when he came back, he was so far behind on stuff, and people were, man, you've had my train for 3 years.
Right, yeah.
And
Like I said.
it just depressed him again, and he finally cleared everything back, and that was the last thing he did. So I finally sent everything back. And he left that message on Facebook, and that was the last message I ever saw him on Facebook.
Right. So yeah, he really.
Yeah, that's all right, Raven.
It was just so hard, you know, and we just so felt. Yeah, no worries.
I wanted to be Rod Stewart, so I
our
started with
heart
Model
just-
Railway. The rest will happen.
Our hearts just went to him.
I wanted to be any rock and roll singer, and then I got this
True.
voice.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Although, you know, so they brought it up because, you know, somebody had asked us, what are our top 10 favorite songs? And I said, you can't ask Joyce a top 10.
No, I don't like top tens.
You can't ask her a favorite.
I don't like type ones. I don't like committing myself.
She doesn't, even the ones I think are her best, she hates. Yeah, she's like that with them. Like, Digital killed the analog guy, definitely has to be in the top 10. And to be honest, one that doesn't get enough love is our version of Steeler Wheels, Stuck in the Middle with You, the very first song Joyce ever sang. Those two have to be there. And then there is Losing My Train Mojo. Losing My Train Mojo, that has to be in there. Hello, Heather.
Hi,
And Daz says hello.
Daz. And hello to Heather. Golly, those Amzat cookies were so good that she made.
I personally like Happiness is a Warm Train. The Beatles' Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Yeah,
I like that one.
that one was hard though.
Well, you did it. You got off rhythm on one line. And I didn't adjust it well enough.
Time for another beer?
Indeed. Beer time. Beer me. That was our catchphrase when we were teenagers.
Yeah,
Beer me.
Beer me.
Beer me. Anthony, you going to the refrigerator? Yeah, beer me.
Okay.
Dad, you going to the store?
for
Yeah,
happy
beer
hour.
me. It's just about happy hour, yeah. Or hangry hour for Joyce.
Yeah, I've eaten very poorly today.
And but I like the one we did of the jam. I think that came out right. Oh, Steady as They Roll, the Ray Contour song. That's I think I would throw in a top 10. I think there was one song I did that could go in the top 10.
Yeah.
I did not do an awful job with the Judas Priest song.
Oh, I think you did a good job.
If you think I'll sit aside and let you buy that one, you're thinking like a fool. You can wait until I'm done. Out there is a train set waiting to be had. If you think I let it go,
Hi,
you're
Robin.
mad. I've got another train coming.
Of course it's a Crumbacher. Hi, Robin Taylor. Long time no see. How have you been? How have you been, Robin? Down under, down under.
Hey, Monsville.
But that was a good one. Now, granted, I think Good Trains, Bad Trains is well written. Heck, I think the Bohemian Rhapsody parody is
it's well
brilliantly
written.
written. It's just horribly sung.
Good times, bad times, you know I've had my share.
But my woman left home with another man, and I still don't seem to care. Good trains, bad trains, you know I've had my share. But my Loco is broken, starting to smoke, and my dealer don't seem to care. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Oh, you've been making models for lots of people.
Well, good. That's good.
Yeah, it's great.
Because you make
Keep you
awesome
busy.
stuff. And not to bring too much of your business in, but I'm still mad at some of those people that gave you a bad time when they tried to set you up.
Yeah.
Robin here makes N-scale, I believe, trains, models, buildings, scratch built. Amazing stuff. She often appears on Artie's live stream, but we haven't seen her in a while, so it's nice to see she's alive and kicking. Just
Yeah, indeed.
great work. She does amazing work. She is as good as they get. And that includes the people with 1 million or 2 million subs. All scales.
Oh, okay. So not limited to N.
Okay, I thought you specialized in N, but that could just be my bad memory. Which is bad to say I have bad memory after I just praised their abilities.
Right. Oh, cool.
Yeah, Monsville
Come
is
in.
another
Come in and gain a sub. That's a good deal.
Monsville's another wonder from down under.
Yep.
Those wonders from down under. Robin, Monsville, Greg. Artie's a wonder from down under, but in a different way.
I was going to say, I'm not sure we classify Artie as a wonder. We love you, Artie.
No,
for
I've got.
heaven's sakes, Mick, how well do you know this man?
The problem is, Mick, I sing all the time. I'm a sadist, so I torture people. I sing and they have to listen. Like I said, it was.
Oh, Anthony finds other Anthonys frequently.
Yep, there's also Anthony from Middleport
Gotcha,
Junction,
Mick.
and there's Anthony from Choberton Junction. There's a few Anthonys. There was a time where I felt like the only one. Yeah, check that out, everybody. Go to Robin's Facebook page. Now, some of you I know don't do Facebook, sorry. Otherwise, you can click on her name and...
Find her YouTube, right?
do you still have a presence on YouTube, even old videos? But yeah, we are doing our latest... Now, see, there's the thing. When we talk about comments, getting negative comments, then there are people that comment on almost every video, and when they don't comment on one, you go, they must not have liked that one.
They must not have liked
They comment
that.
on every video, but they didn't comment on this one. They must not have liked this because they didn't say anything. Well, if you can't say anything nice.
No, I don't think Artie's here.
No, Artie has not come in. Artie is supposed to be on his show
Robin.
tomorrow.
So Robin says she's still on YouTube.
Okay. Artie is supposed to be doing Wacky Weekend Light on
Right.
his channel. But, yeah, I don't need drinks to start singing. I just need bad encouragement. But
Or
yeah,
just
our
the
latest one
Muse.
was That's Model Trainways, which I thought you did a brilliant job on. And that was a tough song to sing, just not so much lyrically or key-wise. It was, he squeezes a lot of words into places, and you trying to breathe while singing.
Always.
That asthma. But no, our newest one is we're going to do a Fleetwood Mac song.
Yep.
Our newest one is a Fleetwood Mac song. The only Fleetwood Mac song I like, because I can't stand Fleetwood Mac. Well, let me rephrase that. The Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks Fleetwood Mac I do not like. The old original Fleetwood Mac had some songs I like, but the only song I like...
He tends to do 3 hours, so we should be.
Yeah, we'll be wrapping up in a
soon.
couple of minutes. We start at 3 local time and go to 6 local time because somebody gets hungry and demands to be fed.
It's dinner time.
It's dinner time. Yeah, but in Europe, dinner time's not till like 7 or 8. You got another couple hours to wait.
I've been up since 7.
So have I. We've been up since 6:30. Who are you kidding?
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I was.
That's sleeping in for me.
I was rounding.
All right, thank you for hanging out, Mara. You're welcome back anytime. We're on at an awkward time for people to come and see, but we're always here. Haven't missed a Friday in
Trains
252 weeks.
Right. Are they still a band? I don't know if they're
Who?
together or not. Fleetwood Mac.
Yes, well, no, because Christine McVie died last year, and they said that was it, they were done. But they toured right before she died. But you have Stevie Nicks.
Satan's Way, Alyssa?
I can't stand Stevie Nicks as a person or as a singer. But we're going to do The Wait.
Aw, that's nice.
We're going to do the song The Wait.
Yep.
The only song by Pink Floyd, not The Wait, The Chain.
The Chain.
The Wait is the band
Break the
song,
chain.
which I love.
Yeah. Great.
And if you don't buy it now, you may never see it again. I can still hear her saying you should never buy it.
Okay.
Hey, that's a change. Okay.
Okay.
That's the Joyce version of the Midwestern goodbye. Ohioans, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, the way they say goodbye is well, that means it's over. Joyce is okay.
Oh, kind of breathlessly too. So like my mom.
With the high side. Yeah, Joyce
northern,
does the high
Minnesota,
side.
you're still Midwestern too. You're northern Midwest.
We're in Toledo, Ohio, y'all. South Toledo, so we talk like this.
Toledo, Ohio.
Toledo, Ohio.
Minnesota.
Right, so, no, we're Ohio up here. South of Columbus, it's Ohio. So like Missouri versus Missouri. East and west. Oh, okay. Well, sadly did not get to see our
Is it
grandson.
Harry
but-
Potter?
Yeah.
Frank?
Somebody was saying that could go with my Flying Scotsman.
Oh. Is that where the 1500 came in?
No. I totally made that number up because I
I
knew it was high
gotcha.
enough to scare the crap out of you.
Yes, you were waiting for me to react. Gotcha.
Something that would get you to go, you what? That's why I was like, okay, I'll send you the money.
That's it. You're getting a job.
Hell no.
You
Had
gotta
one of those. Didn't
support-
like it. Quit.
Dad, to support your
To support my hobby, yeah. I'll have to
hobby.
do that. If I were to get a job, 100% of that money goes to trains. I'm not kidding. If I were to go back to work, 100% of that money is train money.
Sorry, we're sorry she's not feeling well.
Oh. Jackie's not feeling well. Sorry to hear that. All right, anyhow, a lot of people are already ducking out, but it is that time. It is 6 o'clock here. 6:01 actually, so we're a minute overtime. I'll get overtime pay. Time and a half.
By whom?
By me. Time and a half of 0 is what? 0.
Yeah, there's that.
All right. So anyhow, we want to thank you all for spending part of your Friday with us. Thanks to everybody who came and left. Thanks to all of you who watch on replay and all of you who came in and stayed. Seek help. But anyhow, as always, it is such an honor and a joy that you people will spend your Fridays with us. Some of you, the whole 3 hours. Amazing.
You are amazing.
They are. They are absolutely amazing. You're amazing, too.
Oh, thanks. Sorry.
And you got those, so, you know, it's all good. Sorry.
Billy's watching.
You know nothing? Billy, you know nothing! Okay, you saw nothing, you know, we'll do Schultz.
Right,
Anyhow, so on that note, we will say, as we always do, Auf Wiedersehen!
Choose.
And happy trains.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Oh, that Dane show up.